Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Edgbaston for the second day of Warwickshire versus Essex in the Vitality County Championship. The players are on their way out. The floodlights are on. It's a grey, very cloudy morning at Edgbaston, but we're going to start on time after a frenetic first day. And Warwickshire was skittled all out for 78 before Essex made 189 for 9, and their two remaining batsmen, Shane Snater and Jamie Porter, are on the way out. Warwickshire have got some hard work to do to get back in this game. Later on today we'll be joined by the excellent Paul Newton from BBC Radio Essex and Mel Farrell, distinguished cricket broadcaster and journalist. For now it's myself, Brian Halford, from BBC Coventry and Warwickshire and WM, and Phil Britt, Warwickshire Museum curator and familiar voice to Bears fans particularly. Phil, an intriguing day yesterday, hard work for the batters, and Warwickshire have got some work to do. Essex really are on top in this game already.
Yeah, and interesting to see that straight away this morning with the light that Danny Briggs is going to open the bowling from the pavilion end. First time we've seen spin in the game, and the light really isn't great, and don't think it needs to deteriorate much more, Brian, and the players will be off the field. It's just about playable, I think.
Indeed. Danny Briggs is about to bowl his first ball, but his jumper falls off the waist of the umpire, delaying the start by 20 seconds. Briggs starts again. He's going to bowl to the number 11 Porter, who gets a well pitched up ball and just strokes it to short mid wicket. 189 for 9, so Essex already have a lead of 111, which on a wicket that has given the seamers plenty of assistance looks very, very meaty already. Porter forward in defence. Warwickshire 78 all out yesterday. Snater 5 for 13. Then Essex were 50 for 5, but recovered really well as Porter is in defence again. It forward to Briggs, no run. 50 for 5, it looked as though it was going to be a real battle to get much of a lead, but then some really good contributions in the lower order from Harmer and Pepper and Critchley, as Porter defends this one comfortably away into the offside.
And obviously from Snater as well, who's still at the wicket. He's having taken his 5 wickets, he's honing in on becoming the top scorer in the innings as well.
Indeed, 33 not out. Shane Snater. Porter turns this one into the deep field on the leg side, but they don't take a run because they want Shane Snater to face the next over. Briggs has 1 ball remaining in this over. Porter has played it with a lot of comfort so far.
It was interesting last night that the shadows came across the ground, and immediately the umpires brought the players up, and I reckon the light this morning is worse than when they came off in the shadow.
That's a really good call. Briggs is in again. Porter defends, a maiden over from the spinner, but safely negotiated, most importantly for Essex, by Porter. That's a really good call. I mean, the sun was blazing away, wasn't it? The shadows came across and they took them off for bad light. I mean, there's a lot of questions around that, I think. Not least for the long-suffering supporters, which were enjoying a bit of cricket, or what's left of the ebbing season, and the sun is beating down and the players go off, which is it's a strange old world, cricket sometimes. 189 for 9. Now we are going to see pace at the other end. Ollie Hannah-Dolby, I think, strangely, Phil, in the 3 minutes in which that over was bowled, the light has improved slightly. But Hannah-Dolby is to bowl to... Oh, no, it's Ed Barnard is going to bowl from the Birmingham end to Shane Snater with 1 slip and 8 men on the boundary.
Yeah, we've got a very wide slip here. I would say he's at 3rd slip at the moment. So here comes Barnard in and bowls, and Snater is turning this away down to the deep mid-wicket boundary where there is no run. It's a chilly morning. The players have got their cable knit sweaters on. Warwickshire for many years have worn those sweaters which the numbers are on the back. They're a very white sweater, but they're not cable knit type, but they've got them on for this game. And this one is lifted hard and high into the outfield by Snater. Fails chasing in on it, but there's in the end choose against coming back for the second, gets away with it, Snater, so another single to him. He goes to 34, and Essex move on to 190 for 9. But it was a bit of a heave from Snater, and it was in the air for a while, but dropped harmlessly because they literally have nobody in anywhere for a Snater except on the boundary. So unless he hits it full pelt, he's not going to get caught. Barnard in to bowl to Porter, and Porter is fending at one outside the off stump. Not all a foot movement there, and pushing at it with the bat well away from the body.
Yes, Shane Snater had a wonderful day yesterday. 5 for 13 with the ball, and then, as you say, Phil, his little cameo with the bat. 34 not out now. 3 successive boundaries off Craig Miles late yesterday, and in the context of this game, 3 successive boundaries. That's almost a sixth of Warwickshire's total.
Yeah, absolutely. Barnard in, bowls, Porter back and jabs this one out to cover point. No Chris Rushworth on the field this morning, Brian?
No, that looks ominous for Warwickshire. Rushworth, of course, missed quite a significant period of this season with injury, and he limped off after tea yesterday and probably out of the season, one would imagine.
You would think so. It looked like he was rubbing his hamstring on his left leg, and he'd had that calf injury earlier in the season. Here's Barnard in and bowls, and this is cut away beautifully. This one's going to go through backward point and crosses the ropes. So Porter helps himself to a boundary, takes Essex on to 194 for 9, and he moves on to 6.
Handsome shot by Porter, and the 9th wicket has already added 22 runs, and in the context of this game, that's quite significant. And Essex would love just to keep Warwickshire out there a little bit longer. Obviously, get a bonus point is 250, isn't it, these days? So they've got a bit of work to do to get there from 194 for 9.
Here comes Barnard again. He's in and bowls, and Porter is playing this one away into the offside to Hamster Sheikh. Does the fielding, end of the over. And has negotiated the first 2 overs of the morning without really any issue at all.
Yes, I'm intrigued by this approach to bowling to Snater with everybody on the boundary effectively. Shane Snater is a fine player, of course, but 19 chaps got out yesterday, so clearly batting's not easy. I do wonder if they'd be better off trying to, I mean, okay, give Snater the chance to score a few runs, but try and get him out, because
exactly what
a lot
I
of
was
people
thinking.
did get out yesterday.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. I think they're giving, with greatest respect to Shane Snater, they're respecting his batting far too much. And, he's heaving at them, and 1 or 2 of them are going to just pop up in the air.
Briggs in again, and Snater turns this to the leg side, thinks about a second, there's no way he's going to get 2 there, so just 1 run. There was 1 slip and 8 boundary fielders for Snater. One of those boundary fielders ran in and fielded it, so Snater takes the single. I think fairly comfortable with Porter facing Briggs, the way Porter shaped up against Briggs in the first over. Well,
the moment they'd taken the single, the Warwickshire field came in like you close an umbrella. They sort of just pull together, and then all the fielders come in for Porter. Now, to me, I would leave this field for both of the batsmen.
I do agree. Not trying to take the wicket with respect, a number 9 seems a bit of a compliment too far. Briggs loops this one up, and Porter just leans into a forward defensive shot. 2 slips for the number 11, a short extra cover and a shortish mid-wicket. Briggs is in again, loops this again nicely. Porter watches it all the way onto the bat and strokes it back to the bowler. 195 for 9, a lead of 117 for Essex. This is short outside the off stump by Briggs, and Porter slaps it straight to short extra cover.
He's got 2 slips there, Danny Briggs, but he's going to have to push the ball up a bit if he's been a bit short so far.
2 men drop back onto the leg side as Briggs spears this one in on off stump. I'm a little bit curious as to why Danny Briggs has got the call. If the light is good enough for Barnard to bowl, then you'd have thought the redoubtable Hannon Dolby might be on, but this is outside off stump, short, poor delivery from Briggs, whacked into the offside by Porter, fielded on the extra cover boundary. And did they take a single there, or did they turn it down? I think they turned it down, didn't they?
I think they've left Porter on. I think they did, Brian. Yeah,
so
and they've left Snater on strike.
It's a curious business, cricket sometimes, isn't it? Batsmen refusing runs and bowlers not trying to get wickets. It's a very odd game, cricket, at times.
Now here's the field. Out it goes again. I just wonder about this tactic.
Yeah.
Really
even the slipper's gone now, so we have 9 boundary fielders for Snater.
Here's Barnard in, and this is launched hard and high, but into mid-wicket. A couple of bounces out to the man on the deep mid-wicket boundary, and there's no run. So Snater, in fairness, is trying to play the role, but he's not going fully through with the shots, so that he's not bringing at the moment the boundary fielders into play insofar as catching. As Barnard comes in again, and this one he has got hold of, and he may have got. Oh dear!
4 runs.
Oh dear! They've got the men on the boundary, and Snater has just hit it what we would politely call deep cow corner. There's a man out there which ends up about 5 yards in from the rope, and the ball then drops immediately over his head and bounces between him and the rope and goes for 4. And if you're going to go all the way back. Barnard in, and this one Snater drives up to long on for nothing.
199 for 9, and that's a bit messy fielding there, wasn't it? It's a classic club cricket thing. You go all the way, or you come up to save one. But for a boundary fielder to let a boundary pass is a bit careless.
Well, especially over his head like that when he's actually supposed to be on the rope. But never mind. Here's Barnard in as Snater tries to hit this one somewhere east of Smethwick and misses completely.
It is, of course, quite a short boundary on that side, isn't it? I think Snater will fancy 6 if he can connect crisply. He hasn't managed to do so yet. One of the leg side fielders is coming in now, so there are now going to be one guy either side of the wicket saving one, with just 3 balls in the over still to come.
There's Barnard again in. Snater waits and drives past that short extra cover. He'll get a couple of runs here because Sheikh has to come running round to do the fielding, which he does, and they get back comfortably for 2. And that brings up the Essex 200. They go to 201. This partnership moves on for the last wicket, moves on to 29.
What I don't really understand, Phil, is yesterday we had a whole day with batters under pressure.
Yep.
Close fields, good bowling, ball doing a bit. We've had 10 minutes this morning and the batters are under no pressure at all.
None at all, absolutely none at all.
And Essex are playing it nicely. They've added 12 runs.
Yeah, accumulating nicely, aren't they? As Barnard comes in and bowls, and this is wide outside the off stump. Snater tries to get down and help it on its way down to third man, but doesn't get a bat on it. Umpire Lloyd thinks that was perfectly okay, so it's judged just a viable ball, and no wide signalled. End of the over, 201 for 9 at the end of the 4th over of the morning. And they've added a dozen runs already this morning.
The lead now up to 123. Oodles of time left in this match, of course, because it accelerated along so quickly yesterday. The weather forecast is set fair as Briggs comes in to begin his 3rd over to Porter, who pushes this up to deep extra cover.
We should have extra overs today because we lost 11 overs yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, 11 overs due to the encroaching shadows.
So we'll see how many we get.
Briggs around the wicket, and an appeal as an attempted cut from Porter misses. Not very concerted appeal. Bit of a loose shot there from the number 11. A short delivery. I think he fancied that one, but I don't think he got up a great deal.
I think he can get away with that one though, don't you, as the number 11 playing that shot?
This time he's forward with an immaculate forward defensive shot.
Much better.
Porter on 6.
I don't like the way the lights are flashing off the back of the bat at the moment. It's always a sign just how strong the lighting is, and it's really just about playable here.
It is gloomy. This is short from Briggs and pushed off the back foot to extra cover by Porter. Two gentlemen go out to the leg side boundary as there's just 2 balls to go, so they obviously think Porter might fancy having a swing at one of these. He doesn't. He's forward in immaculate defence again, right off the middle of the bat. Pushes it up to Hayne, one of the 2 extra covers. Hamza Sheikh comes and gets a helmet, and we appear to be having a short leg for 1 delivery.
Just following the usual format, the youngest man in the side gets the helmet and has to stand in at short leg.
Oh, and he's going over to silly point. So quite a lot of pointless fiddling going on with the field. Briggs in again, short, outside off stump, hammered away into the offside field, but straight to a fielder. Porter has 6, Snater has 41, Essex 201 for 9, lead by 123.
Just looking over towards the city, and you can see the warning lights on the cranes, which are standing out quite brightly where they're on this morning. The red lights which signal the height, and there's a crane there for any helicopters and stuff going over the city, but yeah, they really, normally you can't see them at all, but they're really, this morning, very clear, which shows just how poor the visibility is. However, cricket is going on. I suppose it's one of the problems with games in mid to late September, isn't it? That you're going to get these sort of conditions. Here comes Barnard in to bowl to Shane Snater, and Snater lifts this one in the air, and it drops down to in front of the encroaching fielders who come running in from the offside and do the fielding. Miles does the fielding. There's no run. 201 for 9. Again, that was in the air a long time, and if there'd perhaps been an orthodox field, that might well have gone to hand. However, he survives, and Barnard in again and bowls, and Snater turns this one into the acres of empty space on the onside before somebody jogs in off the boundary and fields, and again there's no run. This is a confusing tactic.
5 men right on the rope on the leg side, 4 men on the boundary on the offside is the field.
And he comes again, Barnard, and bowls, and this is launched hard and high and drops down in front of the very deep long off. The orthodox field, Brian, I think might have caught that. Do you think? He's not hitting the ball cleanly, Snater.
He's not connecting, is he, as well?
He's hitting it, and it's going in the air, and it's dropping down to where, if you had an inner ring, it would go. Very strange, these tactics. Here's Barnard in again and bowls, and Snater pulls this one away through down to the deep mid-wicket boundary where it's fielded, and Snater stands and admires the shot. That's 4 balls gone in the over.
I just find it so curious, Phil, that batting was so difficult yesterday. We rarely had less than 3 or 4 slips in yesterday, and lots of edges, lots of playing in it. Batting is and was difficult, and yet there's no pressure being imposed at all on the batters today.
This one is hammered by Snater in the air over the. Oh, was that put down there, Brian?
Yeah, I think it was.
Alex Davis has put that one down at long off.
I think he might have seen it quite late, right on the rope, and didn't really get in position for it.
Amongst all this, Snater has become top scorer with his 41. These are peculiar tactics this morning for this first quarter and out. And one would imagine they talked about this.
This is the plan that they chose. Yeah, now the field is closing in with 2 balls to come, so one would imagine Snater will try and have a swing here.
Barnard in, Snater hits this full pelt over the top of Alex Davis, who's now come in, and that runs down to the boundary for 6. Just gets over the boundary, where the man had been until that ball. 6 runs to Snater. He moves to 47. And 207 for 9. It's you bring them in and I'll knock them over. You bring them, leave them out, I'll drop them short.
Well, this is odd cricket from Warwickshire. But Essex have taken advantage in a nice, gentle way. They've added another 18 runs to their total and their lead, 207 for 9. Snater's played with a lot of intelligence last night, basically just staying, because obviously he loves to attack, but he did play with some restraint as well as selective aggression yesterday, and he's now 3 runs away from a well-deserved 50 to go with his 5 for. He's watching now as Briggs starts from the pavilion end and Porter leans into a forward defensive shot. We have Hamza Sheikh in there at short leg for the number 11, 2 slips. Briggs, and again Porter defends very capably up to backward point. He will want to keep his wicket intact so that Snater can have a go at reaching his 50. Briggs in again around the wicket, and Porter bat and pad firmly together. He's batting like Graham Gooch out there.
Absolutely. Looks.
What's this chap doing at number 11? He waits again as Briggs comes in, and very watchfully forward comes Porter, who has 6, having faced 30 deliveries.
I think cricket going on everywhere this morning. Every game has started, so that's a good sign.
Here comes Briggs again, flights this one a little bit more, but Porter meets it with the usual solid forward defensive bat. And 5/6 of the over, he has survived.
Unlikely that they're going to take a single off this one.
Briggs is in again, and again the ball strikes the very centre of Porter's bat. Danny Briggs not getting a great deal of turn from this track, which just make me wonder why there isn't a seamer on at this end. The seamers having done quite a lot of damage yesterday for both sides. Warwickshire 78 all out, Essex 207 for 9 in reply. Now Snater 47. Will he go for broke early in the overfill and try and clear the ropes to reach his 50, or again?
I think he'll just carry on business as usual. Just
9
do the
boundary
same.
fielders.
Barnard into him, and he turns this one away down to fine leg, but straight to the fielder out on the boundary, and they don't take the single. So then the ball is is thrown back to Ed Barnard. It bounces and then spins past Ed Barnard. Has to be retrieved by Sheikh, who's up at long off. In comes Barnard again, and this one is launched away down to deep backward point for nothing. As ball's returned to Michael Burgess. There's 2 balls gone. Barnard is so far this morning he's been hit round the ground, but has had very few runs in real terms knocked off him. He had the boundary and a 6, but all the singles and 2s virtually turned down. He's in bowls. This is turned down to deep mid wicket, and again there's no run.
Ollie Anadolby, the fielder there. I think he may wonder why he's not got the ball in his hand.
Yeah, I don't quite understand it, but with great respect, I don't. The seamer probably with all the success they had yesterday. This one, Snater comes down the wicket and launches. He throws everything at it, and it lands up about 10 yards, 15 yards in front of the fielder out at deep mid wicket, and drops to the floor. And the fielder comes in and does the fielding, and he's got hold of one which he's hit for 6, but he's hit an awful lot where the ball's only gone about 30 yards in the air, 40 yards in the air. He comes in again, Barnard, and this is run down by Snater down to deep backward point. They're going to come back for a second, and sprinting it through, and good running from Porter, who was running to the danger end at the non-striker's end. He gets home. 2 more to Snater, takes him on to 49 and takes Essex on to 209 for 9. This last wicket has now added 37 which is half of what Warwickshire managed to make in total in their first innings. As in comes Barnard, and this is driven back past, and Snater will get a single because Babies wasn't able to field the ball cleanly out at mid-on, and it brings him his half century. Davis kicks the ground because he wasn't able to do it. So a 50 for Snater, which has come off 58 balls, is that right?
Yep, 58 balls, 8 fours and a 6. Smashing innings from Shane Snater, and he keeps the strike there. That worked out perfectly for Essex, and what a really fine match.
Yes.
Snater is having 5 for 13. Really did make short work of the middle and lower order of Warwickshire, and now he's really putting his side into a position of great strength.
And he's the only person so far in either innings who's got even close to a half century. So well done to him.
He's now going to face Briggs. Everybody on the boundary. Cuts this one firmly to the man at deep point. This will be a little bit more difficult for Snater to clear the boundary. The leg side boundary to the spinner from the pavilion end is very long. And here comes Briggs again. Again, short delivery, which Snater just belts up to deep long off and doesn't run. Curious passage of play.
Well, we've had, what, 25 minutes this morning, and not really threatened Warwickshire.
Briggs in again, and again deep long off will do the fielding, and this time Snater takes a single to leave Porter with 3 balls to face. And the way Porter's played this morning, I'd say he's got every right to be respected enough by Snater to give a bit of facing to do. Jamie Porter has batted very comfortably out there for his 6 runs from 32 balls.
Well, either this wicket has died completely, or these tail-enders are the only ones who've been able to cope with it.
Porter defends comfortably this. The Bears batters will be looking at this and thinking, yeah, if Essex's number 11 can bat with this comfort, we should be able to bat for quite a long time as well. Porter forward in defence. First class batting average of 5.82, so he's exceeded that in this innings, and he looks eminently capable of going a bit further. Briggs is in again, and Porter forward in defence very solidly. The end of another over from the spinner. 211 for 9.
Was that Danny Briggs' 5th over of the morning, Brian? Was it? Sorry, I can have a look and see. Yes. So we've had 9 overs this morning at the tail enders, and I think it's fair to say don't think they've given I suppose possible chance that one which went over the fielder's head, but that's the only one which has actually gone close to being a dismissal. Haven't beaten the bat too many times.
Well, and I guess again with no slips in, I guess there's not a great deal of point in attacking in some ways. It is a very, very curious strategy, this from Warwick.
Anyway, Barnard starts another over on that Birmingham end, and it's launched this time in the air, and it drops down in front of Davis, who misses it, and it goes past him and up to the fence at long off for 4. He ran in for the catch, missed it, and the ball ran on and ran away from him. So Snater continues on to 55, 215 for 9.
Yes, I don't know whether the light is troublesome for Alex Davis out there at long on, but that's the second one he's made a bit of a mess of, and that one just went under his arms for 4.
Barnard in. This is pulled away down to deep square. Oh, no. Deep square leg. And is that Oliver Hannandolby there?
Yeah.
He went down to pick it up, missed it, and it rolled through his hands and over the ropes at deep square leg for 4 more.
Successive misfields on the boundary for 4, and that has yielded 1 or 2 comments from the spectators.
Yep.
And to be fair, I can understand their frustration.
Yeah, absolutely. 219 for 9. As these two wait, and This one is thin inside edge, which will race all the way down to fine leg. It begins third consecutive boundary for Snater, who now moves into the 60s. He goes to 63, and the total on to 223, and that is the 50 partnership for the last wicket. It's come off 75 balls. So Shane Snater and Jamie Porter have added 51 for this last wicket.
3 fours in this over so far.
As Barnard in, and this one is played into the onside, and they decide not to take the run. Porter was up for it, but Snater said no. And this morning they have added 34 runs this morning. So Essex really rubbing in, and now they'll have their eyes, you know, Brian, on a batting point.
Indeed, 27 away from it.
They've got plenty of overs in hand, so the way they're going is Barnard comes in and bowls, and Snater aims to smack this one away over deep mid-wicket, but doesn't get bat onto ball, and it goes through to the keeper. And now the field comes back in again for the last couple of balls of Barnard's over. And I think the plan works, but you've got to field. Your fielding has to be good if you're going to get it, and even the most supportive member of Warwickshire fans would not be able to say that this morning. As in comes Barnard. This one is driven with immense power, and Barnard, I think, sensibly gets out of the way of it as it crashes past him up to the long off boundary. 4 fours in that over takes Snater up to 67, and the Essex total on to 227 for 9. And they are doing everything that Tom Wesley would have wanted them to do. I should think even exceeding his expectations this morning.
Absolutely, Phil. 38 runs in the first 28 minutes, and Shane Snater has moved on to 67. He's doubled his score already this morning, and Jamie Porter has batted very solidly as well. As you say, they couldn't really have gone any better for Essex this morning. Warwickshire have abandoned the strategy of spin from the pavilion end. We're going to see Craig Miles. I don't know whether I don't think Ollie Dolby can have an injury because he's out there and fielding. You would think, I mean, he's been Warwickshire's go-to bowler for 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
They might have gone to him this morning, but he's going to be watching from deep long leg as Craig Miles goes through some warm-ups at the pavilion end. I'm looking forward after 11 a.m. this morning, Phil, for Mel and Paul to come on and tell us exactly what's going on there, because I'm not sure.
We haven't.
I'm not sure I can see much logic in Warwickshire's plan. Miles from the pavilion end starts to Porter and almost picks up his third caught and bowl of the innings, but can only just get their hand to it and deflect it behind him, and they take a single. Everything is going Essex's way there. A dropped half chance and a single to get Snater back on strike.
End of this over, Brian. I'll make way for Mel Farrell to come in, and
that'll be great. I'll be
join,
updating our listeners from local radio quite soon. It's not great news for the local radio listeners in Birmingham and Coventry and Warwickshire, I'm afraid. This has been a very productive morning for Essex so far. 228 for 9. Miles has Hamza Sheikh for company at extra cover, everybody else on the boundary. Here comes Craig Miles. Snater tries to slog it, but only gets the bottom of the bat on it, and
there was no ball as well.
A no ball.
Just in case they haven't got enough. A couple of runs.
230 for 9. A lead now of 152. Miles in again, slapped away into the offside by Snater, but they won't take a run.
the tactic continues, and Snater in fairness has continued to try and hit every ball virtually for powered away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's got away with 1 or 2, hasn't
yeah.
he? He's scuffed a few that have fallen just in front of the fielder.
It's his day, though, isn't it?
It is so far. This time he hammers this one up to long on, and they won't take the single. Will Rhodes fields long on.
So I'm going to leave you to do your news, and I'll join you later on, Brian.
Okay, Phil. Speak to you later. About to update listeners to our local radio stations. Will I be updating them about a wicket? Miles is in again, and this is flicked down to long leg for a single. No, Snater really runs that brilliantly and comes back for 2. Snater moves to 69. The total 232 for 9. Just about to update listeners. This is Brian Halford at Edgbaston, and sadly not a much better day so far. Warwickshire have resumed their search for the last Essex wicket after a frenetic opening day yesterday. The Bears were skittled yesterday, all out for 78 on a wicket helping the seamers before Essex replied with 189 for 9. The visitors of this morning advanced to 232 for 9. Shane Snater on 69, and the 10th wicket is now past 50, and the lead up to 154, which appears decisive already on such a bowler-friendly track. Warwickshire are going to have a lot of batting to do to stay in this game. And just as that bulletin ends, so does the Essex innings, because Miles has knocked Snater's middle stump out of the ground. This could be a brief commentary stint for you, Mel.
Well, there you go.
Welcome to the commentary box, Mel, and you can reflect on Shane Snater's 69, bowled Miles. He's gone after a super innings from 78 balls. Porter 7 not out. Just reflect on that session for us, Mel. Essex advanced from 189 for 9 to 232 in half an hour.
I'm a very positive person in life, generally, Brian, you know that. But I have to say, I haven't seen every Warwickshire session of this summer, but I'm pretty sure that that must be one of the worst and most puzzling. And I'm sorry, but you can't sugarcoat it. It was actually bizarre. Just, you could sort of see what they were trying to do at times, but it wasn't working. And just the fact that they have allowed a 10th wicket partnership to completely boss them. I know it's not perhaps doing as much as it was yesterday, but to allow them to have such a productive partnership, not just the bowling decisions, but the bowling itself, but the fielding. And we've just saw a no ball as well. It was a really, really sloppy half hour. And I don't think they'd like to watch it back again. Maybe they should, though.
I'm sure you're right. The low light, if you like, probably was the successive boundaries allowed through fielders' legs right on the leg side rope.
Well, I heard you say, may have been having trouble with the light, but you can't, not having trouble with the light when it's, but even a ball sailing over a fielder's head and bouncing inside the rope for 4, all of those things, it was not a good session at all. And sometimes you go, well, look, the batters are doing brilliantly or whatever it is. Full credit to Snater. He's had an amazing game so far. But just to allow a partnership and allow him to, he just bossed them all over the place.
He did. He finished with 69 from 72 balls with 12 fours and a 6, Shane Snater, to add to his 5 for in the first innings. The 10th wicket in the end was worth 60 from 13 overs, which has extended Essex's first innings to 232 for a first innings lead of 154. Craig Miles finishes with 4 for 58. It remains to be seen, Mel, what that session does psychologically for both teams, because Essex will be flying. Warwickshire have got to pull themselves together and really bat big in this second innings. We will leave you listeners for about 8 more minutes, and then Mel, And Paul from BBC Radio Essex will be here to describe the start of Warwickshire's second innings.
Now. Yep. Welcome back, everyone, and I'm the only one with an Essex opinion here, but I'm afraid my Warwickshire hosts, excellent they are as well, are not best pleased with their side's performance this morning. Mel, for instance, a few kind words about Warwickshire this morning.
I've not got any.
Brilliant.
I'm here as the neutral. Although I do live locally. But look, put it this way, when you saw successive fielding errors on the boundary, and look, players are all human. We all know everyone can make mistakes. But when you see that, the fact that the Warwickshire fans were going absolutely nuts out there. You could hear the jeering from up here inside. Pretty knowledgeable bunch of fans here.
I mean, it was like a goalkeeper letting own goals in, wasn't it? You know, and not through horrible deflections. They'd all the time in the world to see it coming. And there were two consecutive hopeless misfields where Snater should have got a single, and on one of the two occasions it might even have been a catch. And instead, the two boundaries enabled him to be easily the game's top scorer. What a match he's having, with 5 for 13 yesterday with the ball, and a top-scoring 69 from 71 balls with 12 fours and 1 6. 54 of his 69 runs came in boundaries. And it wasn't the most elegant innings we've ever seen by a country mile, but my word, is he effective. And to have a number 9 who can both run through a side with the ball and then top scorer in the match so far, in the first innings anyway, with 69. I do think Warwickshire have got a much better chance of batting rather better. The pitch does seem to be much easier, but even then, with a new ball and in different floodlights on, maybe they'll still struggle.
Well, I mean, I think the latter part is actually more damning or worrying for Warwickshire, not the fact that Snater took the wickets, but the fact that he was able to come out and make those runs. Yes, it clearly flattened out yesterday in that third session. We could see that. But it was just the way he was on top of them. And I guess that's what worries me more than anything for Warwickshire, is that session there just felt quite defeatist.
I think you're right.
A lot of ways. So hopefully they've gone off and they've had a little bit of a chat about things. But I tell you what, I can see Jamie Porter's just taking off his jumper now and getting ready to steam in. But I bet you Snater, even though he's been out there for a while, I bet he can't wait to get the ball in his hands, because he's having a game that he won't forget in a long while.
No, I mean, he's a fiendishly strong man, Shane Snater, and he's really ending this season the way he did 2 years ago, when he was virtually unplayable with the ball and plenty of runs with the bat. Jamie Porter predictably is going to bowl the first over from the Birmingham end to start the Warwickshire second innings. But I mean, Essex with this lead now of 154, 43 runs added, and something like 11 and a bit overs. So a fair number of overs have gone. The chances of the game going into a third day appear to be better than they were halfway through yesterday, when Essex were 50 for 5 in reply to Warwickshire's 78 all out. It looked certain at that time the game would go no further than 2 days, but it may well do now. But Warwickshire will have to apply themselves well with the bat if they're not only to knock off the deficit, which is very considerable, and add a few in advance as Porter prepares to bowl his first ball of this Warwickshire second innings. 3 slips, indeed the first ball of Warwickshire's second innings, and that ball's run down and it just goes to ground before the diving Pepper can get the gloves underneath it. That was very nearly a wicket first ball.
Well, he just had a real little fiddle with that outside the off stump, did Rob Yates.
He'd no need to play at it, because the ball was way above stump height by the time it reached him.
It's just, you hope for Warwickshire and for their fans that they've just been able to put that session, or that first half hour, just out of their heads.
Porter bowls, and again he has the better of the batsman there, who just about, I think, taken on the pad there and masked by the batsman. But if there was any bat in it, it was unintentional, and not the most encouraging of starts, and all of a sudden there look to be demons still in this pitch after all, albeit with the help of a new ball.
Well, Porter, he was brilliant yesterday when he did have the new ball. He really, so was Cook. They were outstanding with the new ball.
Porter bowls, and again forward comes Yates, which at least is the right thing to do. Again, I think maybe a mixture of bat and pad there, but it's just worth reflecting that Essex's last wicket put on 60, and that's almost as many as the entire Warwickshire first innings.
Well, that's what I mean when I say that when you're talking about Snater, I feel like it was the runs that were almost more damaging than the wickets, although it put them in that position. But yeah, just to have the number 9 do that.
Porter spitting fire as he comes in. Another superb delivery, appeal for LBW, going to be turned down. I thought it might just be legging, but my word, this is some start from Porter. He's giving the batsman no peace at all. And as was the case yesterday, so far Porter's over has been an object lesson to any, I was going to say young bowler, but just any bowler. Don't give the batsman a chance to let one go. Every ball right at them from the word go with the new ball. Don't waste it.
Well, the first delivery, as you rightly said, he could have left, but everything else he absolutely has made him play. Attacking the stumps, attacking the pads. No let up.
Porter's in. Bowls. Now, that's not such a good ball. It strays onto leg stump and allows Yates to get away and make sure he doesn't end up with a duck, as it's played down to Porter's opening bowling comrade, Sam Cook. And 1 for no wicket after 5 deliveries of this first over. Warwickshire trailing by 154 on first innings.
And you talk about Warwickshire, hopefully, for them and their fans, putting the morning so far behind them, but Essex certainly haven't done that. They've just come out here, and you can just tell in the energy around the fielders right now, the way they were appealing, just how they've got their tails up.
Well, a couple of matches ago, Essex led by 138 on first innings against Worcestershire. and lost the game by 43 runs. And Warwickshire have got to bear that in mind as Porter aborts his run-up. Not something we see that rarely from him. If he doesn't feel he's right halfway up, he tends to pull out, and that's fair enough, although it doesn't do the over rate any favours. But, yeah, so Essex have proved that they can be vulnerable after seemingly having secured an enormous first innings advantage. But Warwickshire have got to show the character Worcestershire did, as this ball is pushed out into the offside by the skipper, Alex Davis, and that completes a pretty good first over from Jamie Porter, with Warwickshire trailing by 154 on first innings, 1 for no wicket.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a 4-day game, although this may not be a 4-day game. We're still looking at 3 days, but it could be very different. And Warwickshire can still turn this around. That's the wonderful thing about first-class cricket, isn't it?
Yeah. Having said that, I mean, I did feel it was rather tame. If you remember, it was 73 for 7 at lunch yesterday, and those last 3 wickets went down in 8 deliveries, or it might have been 11 in the end, but that's not the point. I mean, they went down rather tamely.
Well, no let up here, because here's Sam Cooke. He's in around the wicket, and that's just defended quite stoutly by Yates this time, more convincingly than in the previous over.
Yeah, it was a decent delivery from Cooke, but a bit of a loosener. And he will bowl more potentially dangerous deliveries than that in the course of his spell. An absolutely admirable cricketer, Sam Cooke.
Of course, we're overcast today. The lights are on, much cooler than yesterday, as Cooke runs in, bowls again, and this time it's a better line. And Yates just gets on top of that, plays it out to the offside.
Showing my great sense of loyalty, I access the BBC weather forecast for today, and it is that it should start to clear up and be sunny from midday onwards, and from mid-afternoon onwards it should be bright sunshine all the way.
Yeah, it did look lovely. It was certainly a beautiful day yesterday. It just looks very different today as Cooke runs in. It's wide of the crease. There's a big shout and the finger goes up and they do strike early. It's Cooke and he has Yates. They've been threatening even in these early deliveries, and the first victim falls. It doesn't get any better for Warwickshire this morning. Yates departs on 1, and it's 1 for 1.
It is, and well, I'm afraid the chances of this game going into a third day, having increased with that last wicket partnership for Essex, and even Jamie Porter, the number 11, looking in no trouble at all, and indeed being not out 7 at the end. But I'm afraid the way this innings has started, these Essex opening bowlers look utterly formidable. And, well, it's going to take Warwickshire quite a long time to get anywhere near wiping off the arrears, because there's so few deliveries that are really short enough or wide enough to be hit. It has to be said, Yates, if he's any yardstick to go by, looked absolutely all at sea during his short stay. Could easily have been out first ball, as he sort of more or less either edged or gloved the ball that bounced just in front of Pepper. And, well, he didn't last long. He was on the front foot there, but I think the ball didn't look as if it was going to have gone over the top of the stumps, and it looked arrow straight, as is usually true of Cooke's bowling.
Well, he just angled it in from wide of the crease. It did pitch just outside the off stump, but angling in looked pretty adjacent in the end. And boy, oh boy, Essex bowlers would love nothing better than to roll up this pitch and take it with them everywhere, right. I think.
Although there wouldn't be many batting bonus points on it, but I'd take your point. I mean, they've got such a superb attack to exploit such conditions that they'd say, well, we can probably manage very nicely without any batting bonus points if we're picking up 19 points a game.
Well, here's Will Rhodes now, who has come out to the middle. Davies yet to score. Rhodes on strike. As in comes Cooke again. It's just defended out to mid-on. No run.
One thing we can say about Will Rhodes, he's a man of character. Not a flamboyant cricketer, but a man who gives it his all and makes himself useful with both bat and ball. So he got 29 when batting was at its most difficult, first dig, and I expect him to get his head down and battle away here, but won't be easy against this quality attack.
In comes Cook with those orange soles flapping, and that is outside the outside edge of the bat.
Beauty. Yeah, that one just straightening off the pitch, and Will Rhodes coming down to do his Monty Don act, but it is not going to be easy. And altogether, I mean, the Essex cricket has been vibrant and purposeful from the word go, and I'm afraid it just hasn't been true of Warwickshire's so far today.
Well, this is Will Rhodes' last innings as a Warwickshire player at Edgbaston, so it is a moment for him. And that next ball from Cook again just whistles past the outside edge of the bat. It is torrid stuff for Warwickshire's batters, as it was yesterday morning. It's a wicket maiden for Cook. What a terrific over from him. First up, getting the wicket of Rob Yates, who just was only there for a short time. But as you said, Paul, did not look comfortable the whole time he was there.
No, it was a grand over, as you say, and well, obviously the new ball is a factor here, but any thought that the demons had disappeared from this pitch have gone, because Rhodes is a worthy competitor, and the penultimate ball of that over, he thought he got absolutely into line, but it went past the outside edge. And then that last ball he didn't know much at all about. Porter's in and bowls to Alex Davis, and this is down leg side and nicely taken by Michael Pepper. Still 153 behind Warwickshire, but already only 9 wickets left to play with.
Yeah, that feels like a long way behind, doesn't it? Just the way that this innings has started. No one looking particularly comfortable. Alex Davies, it is out there at the moment. Boy, do they need something from their captain now.
Porter's up again. Birmingham end bowls, and this is sufficiently short. It wasn't a short ball, but it was shorter than most, shorter than ideal from an Essex point of view, and enabled Davis to see it coming. Just buys you a bit of time if it bounces a fair way away from you, and steers it to mid-off to the skipper, Tom Wesley. No run.
I wonder what they perhaps need. You look back at yesterday, a way that Matt Critchley batted when he just stayed out there and stayed out there. 32 off 82 balls that innings was.
Porter bowls, and again this is a little bit short, not as good so far as this first over. Played down to mid-wicket. Noah Thane coming across the mid-on Paul Walter, just a defensive push, and really we are now approaching an hour into the morning proceedings, and I would think Warwickshire can't afford to be worse than at the very most 3 down by the time lunch is taken. So here is Porter. Bowls. Good delivery, played off the back foot into the offside. But even though I was saying, and quite rightly, that this wasn't one of Porter's best overs, it's still not giving the batsman any chance to relax.
No, and look, just further to that point, I talked about Critchley yesterday, but then that partnership, because we talked about Shane Snater, but that partnership between Pepper and Harmer was another one where they were just dogged, and they just hung in there and hung in there. And were able to just reap the benefits as the ball got softer.
They bought their later colleagues time as this next ball is played into the offside. And, of course, the punchline came when Porter and Snater came back out this morning. And in different light, play only possible because of the lights. But Porter just defended, never looked in any real trouble at all, while Snater belted the ball using fairly agricultural means at the other end to reach 69 off 72 deliveries with 12 fours and a 6. Next delivery from Porter wraps Davis on the thigh pad and goes a few yards out towards mid-wicket. Noah Thane And the end of another maiden over. So we've had 3 overs, single off the first one after Porter had very nearly breached Yates's defences with the very first ball, and then again with the second and third. Yates has since departed LBW to Cook in the course of 1 wicket maiden and 1 maiden for the second and third overs.
Just even that last ball, he absolutely squared up Alex Davies with that one. It just does not look comfortable. And it ain't going to get any easier because Cook is commencing his run-up from the pavilion end. Rhodes on strike. He's in and he's got him! He's got him! Another wicket for Sam Cook. My goodness! He's just sent the stump flying out of the ground, angling that ball in again. And what a morning this has been for Essex and for Sam Cook. And a really poignant moment there, a pat on the shoulder for Will Rhodes from his captain Alex Davies, because that is the last time he will walk off the ground here at Edgbaston as a Warwickshire player, playing his final innings at home for his club, the club where he was the captain, and the crowd showing their appreciation for Will Rhodes now because he's been a wonderful servant for the club. But today he is another victim of Cook.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen Rhodes raise his bat there to acknowledge the applause, which is for his career, not for his innings today. So I don't think he need have felt ashamed to raise the bat, but I can understand his disappointment there, because another magnificent delivery from Cook that probably pitched just outside off. We're not in the perfect position to see, and just cleaned him out. The stump shattered there. Superb bowling from Cook, and he'll have watched the first innings where rarely he was the least impressive of Essex's 3-prong trio of pace bowlers. It was Snater who stole the glory with 5 for 13, but Porter, who bowled magnificently for his 3 for 15. Cook, 2 for 31, I think it was relatively expensive and got fewer wickets, but knowing Sam Cook, he will now very much have a fifer in mind.
Well, it has been nothing other than relentless for the Warwickshire batters.
Not so long ago, this man, now at the crease, Sam Hain, was getting 100 here at Edgbaston against Essex. Couldn't they do with him doing the same here?
First ball, he just leaves. I'm just watching back that Sam Cook. He's just angled it in again. Went on to take out leg stump.
He's a tremendously skillful bowler, and I was commentating with my BBC Essex colleague Nick Gledhill back in 2016. It was Essex v India. We'd never heard of Sam Cook, and we saw this young bowler come on and bowl 8 overs for about 12 runs, and Nick and I looked at each other and thought, where's he come from? And he's done nothing but improve since then.
He's over the wicket to Hain, and again he is squared up by this, came forward and then back-pedalled to his crease as the ball dropped in front of him.
He did the right thing, though. I think, as we observed yesterday, you can't sort of get forward enough, basically, on this pitch, and you're always likely to get away with an LBW shout if you're that far forward, because he was 2 strides down the pitch.
Just a little word being had there to Sam Cook by the skipper at mid-off. In he comes again, bowls, and that has just squirted along the ground, third slip diving across. So a little bit streaky first up.
Yes, it's one of those occasions where everything has fallen just right for Essex from the moment they won the toss. It was clearly a very good toss to win. You'd have to suspect Essex, if they'd had to bat through the morning yesterday, would have had a struggle. It's on a ground where they've appeared to have no luck at all for about a decade now. But they've just been absolutely spot on all the way.
And just got a little delay here because a helmet is being run on.
Yeah, Pepper's clearly going to stand up to Cook, and sooner him than me. So it's hard enough keeping, when you're 15 yards back. And although Cook is not express pace, but mid-80s, standing up, and these wicket keepers can do it.
Well, the whole idea is they've had a look at Sam Hain coming out of the crease, and they want to peg him back there right now. So Pepper is up at the stumps once more as Cook is in, and that's just flicked away to the fielder just at mid-wicket, who hit him on the leg. He's fallen over.
Yeah, it's
They've
Shane
run a
Snater.
single. Snater, he's currently lying prone on his stomach.
I think he's all right. I think he's doing his Hollywood act here.
He's just doing a bit of early morning yoga. No,
you're right. It's sort of hit him on the shin, I think.
Yeah, that's gonna smart. He's just going for a little jog. It's a limping jog, just trying to run that off.
Reminds me of my father's advice when I was lying in a heap, and he'd just say, no worries, just get up and run it off, you'll be fine.
Easier said than done. Here is Cook, and that one's just defended into the offside by Hain. So what a start this has been for Essex. And after 4 overs, Hain on 1, Davies yet to score, and Warwickshire 2 for 2. It's been pretty grim for them, and on that note, I'm going to leave you and make way for Phil Britt, who's standing there with his arms folded and his lips pursed.
Thank you very much to Mel Farrell. Great pleasure to have Mel with us, and indeed Phil, who's about to come over. Phil and I have known each other for a good number of years now, not least through our joint love of national hump racing. Happened to bump into Phil at Cheltenham one day, a decade ago. And we've got 3 slips here. Very good morning, Phil.
Morning, Paul. Morning again, everybody. Ah, dear, oh dear. It's not been a good hour, has it, for the Bears?
No, afraid not.
It's been real hard work.
Porter in, Birmingham end, bowls, Hain. The most confident shot I think we've seen so far as he plays the ball down to mid-on. Paul Walter was able to cut across from behind the bowler and prevent a run. 2 for 2.
Magnificent bowling, though,
yes.
From Cook. He's really has put the ball there. He's just allowed to use the wicket, and it's been absolutely a perfect way. Example of what to do. When there's a bit to help you, you put it on the right spot, and exactly what happened. That one which bowled Will Rhodes was an absolute snorter.
Porter on his way again. Bowls, and this one strikes Hain amidships, and the ball squirts out into the offside to be fielded by Noah Thane at backward point. 2 for 2.
Well, we were saying yesterday that whether the wicket's got a bit easier. You know, the tail for Essex were beginning to add some runs, and we saw that again this morning. Admittedly, some of that was, I think, the Warwickshire field settings helped that situation, and it didn't put pressure on the batsmen. But these guys, Porter and Cook, have really used it.
Porter bowls again, and that has seen the end of he's getting, I think, LBW there.
No, I think he's caught. I think I think it got an inside edge onto the pad.
Right, inside edge onto the pad. Well, 2 for 3, and it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, and the Sam Hain there just turned and walked away as if to say, what's almost glad to get away. They have absolutely so far come out, and they have no answer at all to this Essex opening attack.
They certainly haven't, and well, you'd have to say it's going to be over today, isn't it?
Well, the way they're going, Paul, we're going to reach lunchtime.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we're a little bit worried about missing our free lunch here in the box, and Hamza Sheikh is now the latest victim to be led out to the middle. And you almost feel that they're having to be led out. The things are so dire.
Your 4th day tickets are worth nothing.
No, that's right. And you did predict this before we'd seen the ball bowled, so you knew what you were talking about.
Well, a mixture of various factors. I'm just going to watch this replay for Yeah, ball inside edge onto the pad and just leapt up and lobbed up into the slips and nearly didn't quite carry, but Sam Hain just turns and walks away.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's an unfortunate way to get out, really, with the inside edge into the pad and looping up. I didn't think there'd been any bat in it because we're masked by the batsman from that point of view. But there had been, and he departs for one, caught a slip.
I haven't looked at the scorecard, see exactly what they put onto the scorecard for it, but I'm assuming that, because I didn't see any sign at all from... it was caught, yeah, so it was caught, yeah.
Oh, definite catch, yeah.
No, I didn't see the umpire give an LBW, so it had to be that edge.
Which of the slips it was? That
second slip.
Yeah, Tarmer then with the catch, catch. Porter's in. Bowls, oh dear me, and here's another ball that just pitches on off stump and then leaves the batsman off the pitch there. You couldn't really have too much of a go at Hamza Sheikh there, but nevertheless, these Essex bowlers have turned this pitch into a minefield.
Absolutely. It looks a completely different game, doesn't it? With great respect to the way the Warwickshire bowlers bowl, but this is a different class and a different style altogether from Porter and Cook.
2 for 3 as opposed to 2 for tea, and here's the next delivery, and that's a relatively easy ball to play because it was going above stump height and could be left as it pitched outside. I probably did go over the top of the stumps, but by some way. 2 for 3.
Well, Sam Hain avoided a duck, but he... which would have been a pair. He'd managed to get that single, which avoided the pair, but that's about the only consolation you can give. LBW in the first and caught off the pad in the second.
Pretty good catch, actually.
Oh,
as
it was.
Turned out he had to dive full length to get it. Here is another good delivery from Porter that beats Hamza Sheikh there on its way through to Michael Pepper. So we've now had 5 overs of this Warwickshire reply, trailing by 154, and 5 disastrous overs from a Warwickshire point of view, with Cook 2 wickets for 1 run. Porter's picked up the other wicket, and Warwickshire are 2 for 3, so Porter's figures will be 1 for 1.
When you watch Cook and Porter as a pair, you do wonder how they're not getting international recognition.
Yes.
And it's simply down to the pace and that.
It is.
And they do so much with the ball.
And of course,
you know,
it's good to have someone like Mark Wood, but yeah, I think one really quick bowler's enough.
New over, and this sees Cook in first ball to Davis. Gosh, if ever the captain's innings is needed, it's now. And Alex Davis has got a massive, massive task ahead of him, because Warwickshire are teetering on the edge. I think you said earlier, Warwickshire want to lose no more than 3 wickets by lunchtime if they've got any hope at all of doing anything in this game. They've already lost those 3. We've got nearly best part of an hour to go before lunch.
3 slips as Cook comes up.
He's in and bowls, and forward comes Davis, defends that back, and Cook fields up his own bowling.
Interestingly, Essex had 4 slips in the first innings, and they've probably just decided that not much has actually gone off the edge that wide as to where a 4th slip would be, and I think that's probably sound thinking.
Yeah, I think that's right. So they've got the backward point, the extra cover, the mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and the long leg as in just Cook turns to start his run-up, but Hamza Sheikh had gone for a walk up the wicket, so he waits, and now he's ready. Davis is settling at the striker's end. In comes Cook, bowls to him, and Davis turns this one down for a single, down to long leg for 1. So he is on his way. Warwickshire are 3 for 3 in reply to the Essex total, which was 232, so 154 behind on first innings, and they've knocked off 3 of those for the loss of 3 wickets.
And it does have to be said, Warwickshire have just got to watch it now, because Lancashire are still in with every chance of pulling off a surprise result against Somerset, and Notts look fairly bomb-proof in their game at Canterbury.
This one, it's bowled in, bowled, forward push is from Sheikh, and he loses his off stump, and Warwickshire are collapsing like a balloon with 20 needles popped in it. 3 for 4, Shake goes for a duck, and the whole of the top order is being wiped away. 3rd wicket for Cook, and it's a bit of a disaster, really. I don't think there's any other way of putting this morning, you know, which, however biased you are towards a side, however much support, and you can't hide what has been a dismal batting performance by the top order, but a terrific bowling performance by the Essex openers.
Yes, what makes it such a terrific bowling performance is that the batsmen are faced with a ball that could go either way. In fact, 3 ways. It could just go straight on, it could come darting back in, or it could just leave the batsman off the pitch. Always not by a huge amount, but just enough to either take the edge or beat the bat on the forward push and open up LBW. And it reminds me of a comment from former Spurs fullback Danny Rhodes on the television the other night, when he said, if you get a winger who can go either side of you, just as happy to go round you as to cut back inside, he said they're almost impossible to play. And it's the same syndrome where you just don't know which way here the ball is going to go.
That's absolutely right. Just watching the replay there, I think Shake was aiming that defensive push, but that ball just pitching and just moving away and taking the off stump out of the ground.
Well, I think when I did my 11 o'clock update for BBC Essex, my colleague Dick Davis will be thinking, last wicket partnership, the highest of the innings. You know, I should be good for coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid I don't think his trip's going to be necessary.
Here comes Cook to the new batsman, who is Ed Barnard, and this one goes past the outside edge and through to the keeper, and again an absolute beauty from Cook. He's bowling a terrific one. He'll want this ball and this wicket. He'll want to take it round everywhere he goes.
No, absolutely. When Cook gets on a roll, he is utterly formidable. And as you rightly say, bearing in mind that Essex, England's 2 great bowlers of recent times, Anderson and Broad, and neither of them express pace.
No, exactly. He's in and bowls. Oh, and this one is going to be a run, but pushes it into the offside. The shy at the stumps, but it's. I think was that Snater who picked?
It is.
Yeah, picked the ball up and shied at the stumps, and the batsman got home. So it's wickets and runs are now back level again. It's 4 for 4.
Still walking with a slight limp for Shane Snater after taking a ball on the shin, fielding at mid-wicket about 20 minutes ago, but I've no doubt whatever that he'll be delighted to be given the ball whenever Cook and Porter get tired, but I'm not sure that they're going to have to bowl long enough to get tired unless we see some rather stouter resistance. 4 for 4 up on the board in 6 overs.
When the ball's doing as much as it is, and they're troubling the batsman so much, tiredness doesn't really come into it. You almost have to have the ball wrenched out of your hand by the captain.
No, you're quite right.
Shane Snater will be thinking, come on, I want to have a go at this as well. We've got his 5 wickets in the first innings, that 5 for 13, so that's no respite.
As Porter bowls, and that's just been edged past the diving third slip Critchley to the boundary, and in one fell swoop the score is doubled. It's now 8 for 4, and that one was edged, but it was all along the ground.
Rarely does an outside edge which goes down to third man get so much applause from the spectators.
No, it's been almost poignant out there to see the fall of wickets and the collapse even more pronounced than the one in the first innings.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the fact that, having seen how well the Essex tail batted, then to lose the wicket so quickly.
Porter bowls one that for once can be left with impunity outside off stump.
One good thing with Ed Barnard, from a Warwickshire point of view, he will battle and battle, as indeed will the captain, but I have to say they're looking at what is becoming increasingly a somewhat hopeless task here.
Yeah. Old Alex Davis has watched the disasters happen from the non-striker's end and is still there with just 1 to his name off 11 deliveries. Porter's in, bowls to Barnard, nudges it into the onside for a single, and moves up to 6. And I certainly think Ed Barnard, who can be a very attacking player when he wants to be, probably here there's nothing much to lose by trying to hit a few boundaries. 9 for 4, Barnard 6, Davies 1.
Yeah, and if you look at what's still to come, Ed Barnard and then Michael Burgess, and then really, with great respect to Briggs, Miles, Rushworth, well, whether Rushworth bats or not will be, I think, dependent on how the situation of the game. But,
yes, that's another factor. Here is Porter again, bowling this time to Davis, beats him with a good delivery that leaves the batsman off the pitch. But
Warwickshire coming into the game with the tail a little bit longer than normal. But it really is going to be dependent on these two. They're going to have to stick around for, well, a ridiculous amount of time. Which obviously, on this, with wicket doing this amount, is going to be almost impossible to do.
Porter on his way again and bowls to Alex Davis, and this time does get the ball out of the middle of the bat, if only to play a defensive shot to Snater in the covers. And of course we were talking about not feeling tired when things are going your way, and tiredness is really a physical quality, but if your mental quality is strong enough and you're thinking, crikey, it's my day today, you refuse to feel tired.
Absolutely. Well, every time he runs in, they must be thinking, every ball they bowl, wicket here.
Porter bowls again, and ball just nudged to Thane at backward point. The over ends, so 7 overs have been completed, and Warwickshire scoring at only just over 1 and over are 9 for 4, with 3 wickets to Cook, those of Yates, Rhodes and Hamza Sheikh, 2 of them clean bowled, and the other wicket to Porter, that of Sam Hain.
So Cook he's already ready to bowl. He's raced up. He gets to the end of his run up and is waiting for the ball to be tossed to him. And Tom Westley does that. 3 slips waiting as Barnard is watching this one. He fends at this one, just going past through to the keeper. Again, a little bit of extra bounce there and a movement away from the right-hander. Again, he sort of pushed at it. I think we'll give him the benefit there that he just played inside and let that one go and twirled the bat away. But again, it's a vicious ball. That
it is. I mean, to me, it was like a fast leg break.
Yeah.
Dear me. And the next one's just as likely to be an off-cutter.
He turns, and Barnard, a massive task ahead of him as he's in and faces and plays this one solidly in defence, back out into the offside, and there's no run. The big figure of Paul Walter comes. He's a big man, isn't he, Walter? You don't
6'7". Yeah.
I say, just looking there, fields out at mid-wicket.
Well, he's quite a useful left-arm over bowler.
Yes.
But I don't think he's going to get many overs today.
He's done well in white ball cricket.
He has, particularly, yes.
Yeah. In comes Cook again to bowl. And this one is past, pitching and moving away from the right-hander. And in the end, it's taken by Pepper behind, in front of slip.
Yeah, and I mean, that was even more of a fast leg break than the one I referred to earlier in the over. I don't know what you do with deliveries like that. Well, in fact, stand and watch, because they won't actually clean you out because the ball's moved so much.
Well, it's brought the change. Walter, who we were just talking about, has now been brought into 4th slip, and a short leg's going in.
Robin Das, Paul Walter, as you say, at 4th slip.
So that delivery has forced that change, and Ed Barnard settles, knowing that the next one's coming at him, and that's a bit fuller. Barnard is able to play that one away into the offside, out to backward point, but can't get a run for it.
Well, the way Cook's bowling at the moment, it's an achievement if you manage to survive a full over from him. And Barnard is, he's 2/3 of the way to pulling off that achievement.
So 4 wickets down, still really haven't even started to scratch into the deficit. just 9 runs on the board, and it's really tough going as Cook is in bowls. Barnard doesn't play a shot at this one, lets it go through again outside, a little bit wider outside the off stump, and just gives Barnard a bit of relief this time.
Yes, there's very little gardening of the pitch going on out there, and I think it's because the Warwickshire batsmen have realised that it's not going to make a scrap of difference.
Right, excellent, exactly. So
still no sign of the clouds dissipating. It was forecast.
No, it's supposed to be during the afternoon's supposed to be much brighter, isn't it? Better.
Yes, oh, very much so.
Yeah. Let's Cook in again, and Barnard goes to play that one away out through the square, through the offside, but the ball goes over the top of his bat through to the keeper. End of another over, another good over from Cook. It's 9 for 4. It's you don't very often have 4 wickets down with single figures on the
no,
runs,
good
so
point.
It's a little bit strange saying that sort of score when you're looking at the board and saying 9 for 4, but I'm afraid from a Warwickshire point of view, that's the reality of it.
Yeah, too true. 78 all out, 9 for 4. Does not sound at all good, but the reality is actually much, much worse. It's Porter from the Birmingham end. Still a little bit of mist obscuring a crane in the distance as Porter bowls, and need I say what's happened really? You'll gather it's not a wicket, but it's another player miss, this time from Alex Davis, as Porter gets one to move away off the pitch. And the Essex bowlers are just getting this ball to do all sorts out there. They're both highly skilled craftsmen, Porter and Cook. And as we've been saying, you watch them bowl here and think, well, surely one of them at least ought to be in the selector's thoughts, but apparently not, as the next ball's played to mid-wicket and there is no run.
What sort of age are they now? Without me getting the book out and checking, are they still, Porter and Cook, are they still mid?
Well, Porter made his debut in 2014 and would now be, he'd been about
29, 30?
He didn't start very young, so yeah, I think he's probably just the wrong side of 30. Cook, on the other hand, didn't make his debut till 2017, and he'd be sort of getting towards, I don't know, 27, 28 as
right.
Here's the next delivery, and it's driven, and that's through for 4, and that's really the first shot of true conviction that we've seen here. Lovely on drive, said to be the hardest shot in cricket. Well played, Alex Davis, and 13 for 4 as Davis moves up to 5.
Yeah, that was a nice shot from Davis, wasn't it? He moved towards it, used his feet well and played it controlled, and got power behind it as well. So well executed shot. It's taken a while, but eventually we've got one.
Yeah, no, it has taken a while.
I think that's the second boundary of the innings. The first one was that one which was squirted down to third man.
Porter bowls again to Davis, who leaves this one outside off stump, and score remaining at 13 for 4, still 141 short of clearing the first innings arrears.
A decent crowd in again this morning to watch this game. It's the final match cricket here at Edgbaston in 2024. It's been a busy old year here with international cricket, and then we had that Legends competition going on here.
Porter bowls to Davis. Again, this ball can be left outside off stump, and 13 for 4 remaining the score. But the thing that's so impressive about the Essex attack is you just don't get a delivery off, really, certainly in terms of being able to force the pace.
At no time in the first innings did you ever feel that Warwickshire even got close to getting on top of the attack, and the changes continued the pressure, and obviously with Snater getting the wickets,
Porter again. Now this one has beaten the bat. Another fine delivery going through Davis's defensives to be taken by Pepper, and so we've now had 9 overs and Warwickshire languish 141 still behind on 13 for 4.
So, number of balls that have gone past the bat as they push forward to it, which haven't got a nick through to the keeper, but all the time that pressure remains as Cook will be bowling start his 5th over, with the impressive figures of 4 overs, 3 for 3.
And that's the other thing about Cook. He, particularly with a new ball, opposition batsmen struggle to score it much more than even at best 2 runs an over off him, and often not much better than 1.
In he comes and bowls, and this one pitches and rises and moves away from Barnard and through to the keeper. There's no shot offered, in fairness, by Barnard. He left that one and spotted the length and didn't even attempt to get anything behind it. So those 4 slips in place, the short leg, the backward point. There's a man at extra cover and covering the mid-off position. And then there's an orthodox mid-on, which is Westley, the short leg and the long leg, as Sam Cook comes in again and bowls. And this spraps him on the pad. That looks fairly adjacent as Barnard, but must have just been jagging down the leg side, going to miss the wickets, because he certainly played across. It was a big shout from all the slip cordon and the keeper, but not out, says umpire Lloyd, and gets away with that one.
Yeah, it was a very good shout, but I think the umpire right to give the benefit of the doubt to the batsman there.
And he comes again and bowls, and this one is much fuller, and Barnard plays forward with no great confidence, and the ball runs away off bat and pad to Westley, who does the fielding at mid-on.
Yes, no confidence indeed. It's again a delivery that really had the better of the batsman.
Cook turns, Barnard settles, and in comes Cook to bowl to him, and that's a fuller one, which brings Barnard forward and playing it up to Snater at mid-off, and there's no run. I'm just going to have a look at the replay on that LBW shout. I've got Mel's left her machine here, so but it's just slightly behind the couple of balls behind the live action. So I'll just see if I can look. Oh well,
worth a shout.
Definitely worth a shout. Yes, I would have said definitely worth a shout. Here comes Cook in to bowl to Barnard. This is short, and Barnard pulled that one away nicely through backward square and down to towards the Hollies stand fence. A shorter one. First time we've seen him try a shorter delivery, and well read by Barnard, who got inside it and pulled it away and controlled the shot down to the fence. He goes into double figures with that shot. Warwickshire move on to 17 for 4. Barnard moves to 10.
Yeah, probably not a good idea to bowl short on this pitch, and in fact definitely not. I don't think it's to matter very much, but well played Ed Barnard, because that's the first chance he's had really of helping himself to a boundary, and he didn't waste it.
Sam Cook about to finish his 5th over. He's in and bowls, and Barnard will get more runs here, squirting this one away behind square on the leg side. It runs down for a single. It's 18 for 4. We're going to have a double change here. I think Paul is moving out and Brian will move in. And as soon as Brian settles, I'll bring Mel back, who will see you through to the lunch interval. So thanks to Paul. And Brian's back on, and I will move.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you, Paul. Paul, quite rightly, quite perky, because Essex have played some wonderful cricket in this game. We can dwell on Warwickshire's weaknesses and disarray if we choose, but let's not forget how well Essex have bowled there. Won a good toss, there's a great pitch to bowl on, but my word, their seamers have exploited it magnificently. And Jamie Porter is going to try and do that once again here. A bit over pitch this, and Davis drives it straight for 4. 22 for 4. And Mel is back with us.
That was a lovely shot from Davies. Beautiful straight drive. And they need some more of that. They need this partnership just to try and put a bit of ballast back into this Warwickshire side. I know I've been pretty harsh, and you're right, we need to focus also just on how well Essex have done. Cook has been incredible.
3 slips crouch as Porter is in again and beats Barnard outside the off stump. There's a little a skip and a hop from Harmer at second slip, as though that had taken the edge, but it didn't.
He
hasn't. A bit greedy, Essex, aren't they? They've got enough wickets already.
Oh, Porter's been no slouch either, but Cook has just been serving up jaffers for fun this morning. Really lovely bowling in general, but you just want to see something from Warwickshire that just stiffens the spine a little bit.
The Warwickshire supporters would certainly welcome that. And this is edged, and it's gone. Barnard is out, caught behind. Another beautiful ball from Porter, and Warwickshire are 22 for 5. Ed Barnard goes for 15.
Well, been singing the praises of Cook, but Porter, as I said, no slouch either. That one, I don't know if that stayed a little bit low, that one. A bit hard to tell sometimes from this vantage point, but the result is the same. Another wicket to fall, the 5th now. And it's just gone from bad to worse to terrible to miserable for Warwickshire this morning. And there's nothing that's really gone right for them. There's going to be a fair bit of introspection, I imagine, with Warwickshire after what's unfolded here today. Half their wickets gone, and just 22 runs on the board. Still 132 runs behind Essex first innings total, which looked pretty low because they weren't having a wonderful time of it as well. And Brian, I think Warwickshire is staring at the possibility of posting their lowest ever total against Essex.
They are. I'm just about to update listeners. This is Brian Halford at Edgbaston, where sadly things aren't going better. In fact, Warwickshire have endured perhaps their worst session in living memory after sloppy bowling and fielding and bizarre strategy allowed Essex's last wicket to add 60, taking their total to 232. Warwickshire went in needing 154 to avoid an innings defeat and were soon 3 for 4. Yates went for 1, Rhodes for 0, Hayne 1, Sheikh 0. Ed Barnard has just followed. Warwickshire are 22 for 5 in a massive hole and facing a humiliating defeat inside 2 days. That's the latest from Edgbaston with me, Brian Halford.
Just been watching that delivery again. I mean, it was a full. This was the last wicket. It was a full delivery, and so I don't know if it did actually shoot through low, but it was just a drive that caught the edge. No extravagant movement. Just a good nagging line, full of deliveries. So, yeah, a lot for Warwickshire to think about. They're not out of the woods.
Porter is in again, and Burgess plays this one out to point. Yes, just before I gave that bulletin, Mel, you mentioned Warwickshire's lowest total against Essex, 53. It's a fair old way off yet, isn't it? So this could be a bit of unwelcome history for Alex Davis and his team. Davis still there, the captain on 5. But my word, how do Warwickshire just go about this now? Do they just try and defend and stay in, or do they try and counter-attack? They're in a mighty hole. Porter is in again, and Burgess flicks this one away to third man. I think it will just about beat the chasing fielders. It does. A boundary to Burgess. Ironic cheers from the Wyatt stand. The Bears fans are making their thoughts heard from time to time, and understandably so, really. This has been an amazing session. 26 for 5. As you say, Mel, the Essex bowlers have come up with some absolute jaffers. The pitch is still doing plenty, which again brings into focus Warwickshire's approach in the first half an hour, when they just didn't try and get Snater out, and they put 9 men on the boundary. Yeah,
I mean, the new ball obviously helps matters, doesn't it? And so you can say there's a little bit of mitigation there, but the sloppy fielding, allowing the tail enders to boss them was the greatest concern, as Cook is in once more, and again he's got that ball seaming away. He has been just outstanding Davies there playing inside the line of that will give him that one, but there's just a constant threat when Cook has the ball in his hands. He's been really outstanding this morning. All of Essex bowling attack has been. Yes, they've had advantageous conditions, but my word if they use them. 3 slips in as Cook is in once more. This time he just strays onto the leg side. It's turned around the corner, but there's a fielder down at long leg who's going to keep it to a single. You talk about what Warwickshire need to do. It almost feels like it's been so bad that all thoughts of results and whatever may happen almost seem to go by the wayside, and all you want to do is, okay, let's go back to basics. All you want to see.
Or go back to bed. I probably wish they hadn't got up this morning.
Cook commences his run up. He's in over the wicket, and again Burgess this time just turns it around to that fielder coming in from long leg, so they'll take another single and takes the score to 28 for 5.
Yes, these two guys, Burgess and Davis, can bat long. We've seen that. Danny Briggs, no mug with a bat, neither is Craig Wiles. Whether we see Chris Rushworth remains to be seen. He's injured and couldn't take the field. I guess there's not much point in risking him aggravating his injury if they are in this deeper hole.
In comes Cook once more, and all that's squared up Davies. It's just squirted out to backward point, but he is just bowling those balls. At times he's getting them to jag away, but at other times Cook's just angling it in, and then it's straightening just enough to really trouble the batters. But yes, just with everything that's happening, can they just go back to the basics of forming a partnership and just spending time at the crease? Here's Cook again, and once more, Davies looks very uncomfortable as that ball flashes past the outside of his bat. And when it's this one-sided too, I don't think Warwickshire aren't clear necessarily of relegation. That's the other thing as well. There's a good contest going on between Lancashire and Somerset. Just what happens there is of interest. Here's Cook, and this time it is played more solidly out to backward point by Davies. No run though. At the end of the over, it's 28 for 5.
Yes, Warwickshire's victory against Kent recently, how precious that is now. That you would think that has given them enough points, but they still have a bit of work to do. Lancashire 92 for 2 in their second innings against Somerset, so they lead by 86, and they're in with a chance of winning that one. Nottinghamshire making comfortable progress against Kent, so Lancashire and Nottinghamshire are both probably going to win, which means that Warwickshire may just need to pick up a few points at Trent Bridge next week just to be safe.
Oh, I do love this time of the season.
Porter beginning another over. Burgess inside edges this to mid-wicket, and there is no run.
Yeah, it just all gets really rather interesting at the moment. Everyone's got their calculators and their abacuses and their fingers and everything else out, just trying to work out all the permutations of batting points, bowling points, and the possibilities as we come to the end of a season.
Burgess waits again and plays this one watchfully into the offside. Yes, if Warwickshire do summon up some resistance now, it looks like they're going to lose this game quite heavily, but if they can go down with a bit of fight, then at least that will give them something to go into the game at Trent Bridge with. If they do just capitulate, then psychologically that's going to be or it's going to be a battle anyway, isn't it, after being 3 for 4 and 22 for 5. I mean, the batting confidence is so brittle at the moment. It's a poor shot from Burgess. He's lucky to get away with a attempted pull, which he misses. Ball was outside off stump and really well taken by Pepper.
Yeah, Pepper up, keeping up to the stumps again. We've seen him forward and back and forward and back. They've employed that tactic really well, have Essex.
Porter 2 for 18 from 6.3. Sam Cook 3 for 10 from 6 overs. These two guys have been doing it for so long for Essex, and my word, how skillful they are. Burgess will get a single this time. He may even get a second run as the ball squirts through the covers. And they do take 2. In fact, there's a slip of the fielder near the boundary, so they'll take 3. Burgess moves to 8. 31 for 5. And fresh from an innings win in the last game, Essex look like they're ending the season in great style, and Surrey will have their work cut out at Chelmsford next week.
Well, I did say right at the start of this game, just sort of expected Essex to be a little cheesed off, shall we say, politely putting it, at those penalty points that were imposed upon them.
Porter again, and Davis is solidly forward in defence. Such a strong team, Essex. I was talking to Paul earlier on today and just musing that, I mean, Surrey are very strong at the moment, aren't they? But in another era, Essex would be thinking, yeah, we'll have a title or two during this era. It hasn't quite happened for them.
Gee, I reckon they'd love nothing better than to roll Surrey next week, especially if they thought Somerset had a chance.
Porter in to complete his 7th over. Davis drops the wrists on this and just nurdles it down to 3rd man. They'll take 2 runs, and the total goes to 33 for 5. Warwickshire need 154 to make Essex bat again. Just for anyone who is fresh to the commentary, Warwickshire have enjoyed a really sloppy morning. Essex's last pair extended their partnership to 60. Super innings from Shane Snater, really well supported by Jamie Porter. So Warwickshire went in again, needing 154 to make Essex bat again, and was soon 3 for 4 as Sam Cook and Jamie Porter got amongst the top order. Yates out for 1, Rhodes for no score on his last appearance for Warwickshire at Edgbaston, Hayne for 1, and Shake for 0.
In comes Cook, first ball. Burgess just plays that out to backward point, no run.
It was quite a poignant valediction for Will Rhodes, wasn't it? Because he is very popular here, and the supporters did give him a really nice warm ovation, but he was walking off in the middle of a really rotten session for the Bears, so it was very difficult for anyone to feel hugely positive, but they did still get a warm ovation.
He certainly did. It was a sad moment. In comes Cook. That's just solidly defended down to mid-on by Burgess. Yeah, it was a very poignant moment, wasn't it, when he came in and you just thought maybe one last time. You had current captain and former captain at the crease together. Could they put something on to just rescue this morning session and the day perhaps a bit for Warwickshire? But this man, Sam Cook, he has been roasting them this morning. He's in again over the wicket and he squared him up, and the finger, it stays down.
So it should, Mel. That was if I may say so, that was a bit leg side.
Well, the excitement you can understand because they have had their tails up. Is that Thane who's warming up at the moment? We might be about to see Snater and Thane come on and have a bit of a bowl just before lunch, 15 minutes before the lunch break, as Cook runs in once more, and this time he beats him. All ends up.
That's beautifully taken by Pepper, wasn't it? It must be a real... I was did a Q&A with former Warwickshire keeper Jeff Humpage yesterday, and talking about how difficult standing up to seamers is, and that was really beautifully taken, because you've got a split second, haven't you, and the bat is in the way and the batsman sometimes is in the way. Real quality keeping from Michael Pepper.
Yeah, it's a tactic I love, but boy, you need someone skillful with the gloves. Here's Cook, defended back to the bowler, picks it up with his right hand. It's something I've seen a lot of lately, because I've been doing a lot of associate cricket, and up in Scotland, Matt Cross, who's an excellent keeper, he does that an awful lot. When you see Brandon McMullen and the likes of Brad Curry bowling, they use it to great effect. Pepper it is now. He's lurking right behind the stumps as Cook is in. It's just defended out into the covers, so no run. And that is a maiden over from Cook, who after 7 overs has figures of 3 for 10. Boy, he's been good. 33 for 5. Now Burgess and Davies both on 8 runs. And they trail by 121. It seems like a lot of runs. And we are seeing a bowling change.
And Noah Thane is to come into the attack. Oh, what a lovely situation for a young bowler to come into, isn't it? He was telling Paul last night after play, actually, what a joy it is to come in and learn his trade with all these excellent bowlers around him. And now he can just come in and have a little burst in the 15 minutes before lunch with the opposition 33 for 5 on the back of excellent work from Porter and Cook. So can Noah Thane add to Warwickshire's woes? He's going to have 3 slips, 2 men deep on the leg side and a deep backward point, and 3 men saving the single. The light not wonderful, floodlights are on. And Thane to bowl to Warwickshire's captain, Alex Davis. There's a short delivery which is pulled down to one of those deep fielders on the leg side, and Davis takes a single, moves to 9 from 14 overs. The Warwickshire captain has watched in dismay as 5 of his partners have perished already.
Short ball there. I don't think I've seen any effective short balls, of it, very few of them. Thane was the most expensive of Essex's bowlers, just bowled 3 overs in the first innings, none for 17.
Here he comes again from the city end. This is a little bit short, but the Burgess stands up straight and pushes it to extra cover. Yes, there is not much incentive to bowl short, is there? Because there's so much going on when you pitch it up.
Well, there is. I mean, just playing in his 6th first-class match is Noah Thane, so very much learning his craft. But as you mentioned, Brian, the fact they're able to bring him in, let him have this experience, there's not a lot of pressure on him right now.
No, it's a great situation for the young fella to coming into. This one's down the leg side and fumbled by Pepper this time. I've just been bigging him up as a wicket keeper. He lets that one through his gloves and they take a bye. And still to come into the attack, of course, Shane Snater took 5 for 13 in the first innings. So as with all the best attacks, they keep coming at you, Essex. That's the real strength, I think. And to be fair, Warwickshire have leaned very hard in the last year or two on Hannon, Dolby and Rushworth. Beyond that, it's been a struggle sometimes because the pressure comes off. Thane is in again. Good delivery on off stump. Davis just drops into the offside and moves into double figures with a single.
Yes, Snater coming back in. I mean, came in on the back of Porter and Cook, who had bowled so well, but there was no relenting because he was just taking wickets for giggles. He was.
He'll be itching to get back in,
won't he?
5 for the only half century in the match so far. He's had a good day, a good couple of days in Birmingham with Shane Snater. Here comes Thane again, outside off stump, pushed up to mid-off by Michael Burgess. No run, 36 for 5.
Well, maybe if Warwickshire can just get through to lunch with Burgess and Davies still intact out in the middle, just give them a moment just to recalibrate as well and just take it each 5 over stretch at a time. Try and put something back into this match.
A good one to win, as they say. Thane is in again. Good delivery on off stump, and Burgess is right forward to it, and that's really good defensive play by Burgess. And if one was to be a little critical of the bowling, has been excellent, but some of the footwork, there's a lot of Warwickshire batsmen been dismissed, trapped in the crease. That was a really good stride in there from Burgess, and that does cut down the risk a little bit. It takes LBW out of the equation a little bit. Some of the Bears batters do seem a bit devoid of movement in the crease and confidence.
Well, and hence the tactic of bringing Pepper up behind the stumps as well. Yes, it was a good toss to win, but I'm not sure that you can put it all down to that. I know I've been really harsh today, but I don't know that you can put it all down to the fortuitous winning of the toss. Absolutely big advantage. Great conditions yesterday with the pitch doing enough. And speaking of the pitch, the ball doing a bit, Snater is into the attack. He's going to be bowling from the pavilion end. He's got the mullet ready. Number 29 on his back as he runs in over the wicket. First ball just played out to point by Davies. Oh, I like a mullet. I see you there guffawing quietly. It's good. It's just something a little bit different. A little 70s throwback.
Yeah, there are still a few around. Sam Hain had one at one stage, but has moved on from that now.
He's grown up, come to his senses. Snater turns at the top of his mark, runs in over the wicket to Davies, who just clips that one through mid-wicket. Diving fielder got a hand on it, and that's probably saved a couple of runs as Cook is able to clean it up and send the ball rocketing back before it reaches the boundary. So they picked up a couple. Takes them to 38 for 5. That light seemed to be getting stronger now.
The forecast is better, isn't it, for later in the day? And
if we're still here, is the question. Yeah. But this partnership is growing as Snater runs in, and that one, that's just leapt up on Davies a little bit. He pulled his backhand, his right hand off the bat straight away.
Yes, I guess Warwickshire will point to the toss, and they have actually batted on both mornings, haven't they? Which is the time you do not want to bat. But that's some mitigation, but I don't think it quite explains 78 all out and 22 for 5.
And what happened this morning?
Yes, indeed, with the ball, that was just bizarre.
In comes Snater, bowls, and that squared him up, and that is out. Davies' resistance is snuffed out, and it's Snater's day. It's Snater's game. He has loved his time at Edgbaston. 5 wickets in the first innings, and he has 1 in his first over, and it is the captain. Davies departs. The 6th wicket falls for Warwickshire just in the few minutes before the lunch interval. The misery continues for the home side.
Well, if there was one grain of hope of Warwickshire batting their way to respectability, never mind a competitive position in this match, it was Alex Davies, who can play long innings, and he was getting his head down. He's been in there for 16 overs for 12 runs, and that's not usually his scoring rate, but that was an attempted flick through the leg side, maybe misjudged the line a bit, and pretty clear umpiring decision there. And as you say, Snater may well be asking Warwickshire, "Oh, can I come and join you? Because I like Edgbaston. I think he's performed well here before, but my word, credit to him there. He's come on, bang on the button straight away. There's no loosening up, no warming up for an over. Bang on the button, and 4th ball gets rid of the Warwickshire captain. Warwickshire 38 for 6, still needing another 116 to avoid an innings defeat.
I think that ball's nipped in a little bit off the seam as well. The angle, the nip back in. What a match this has been for Snater. Just relentless. We said that before. There is no real relief with the change up, and it's Danny Briggs who comes out to the middle now. So it's only going to get more difficult for Warwickshire, you feel. Briggs on strike as Snater is in over the wicket. And he comes forward and just squirts that out just to the right of mid-on.
Snater's match figures now 6 for 15 to add to his half century.
That is extraordinary. It really is. He will remember this match for a very, very long time. Briggs taps his bat, raises it as Snater is in over the wicket, and that just squirts in between backward point and the slips, and that's going to go for 4. Played with soft hands by Briggs. It went all the way along the ground, and that is some relief. So the end of that first over from Snater, 6 runs coming from it, but most importantly the wicket of the captain Alex Davies. And with probably, well, maybe just one more over before lunch, Warwickshire are 42 for 6.
And a cup half full Warwickshire supporter will be thinking, yeah, there's some amazing games in cricket, aren't there? We could be sitting here in a few years' time thinking, do you remember that game against Essex where Warwickshire were on the back foot at one stage? And then Burgess and Briggs put on 300.
Well, it's an amazing game, cricket.
Who knows?
You just never know.
Thane from the city end to Burgess, nearly sneaks through, get an inside edge down to long leg. Good ball that from the youngster, but Burgess takes a single.
I'm not a gambling woman, but if I had 10p, I don't know if I'd be putting my 10p on it, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, not many.
Not many.
but there have been odd times.
Oh, they're trailing by 111 now, Warwickshire. Is that? Do we have to stand on one leg? Or is it only when the score is?
I think, yeah.
Oh, right.
Otherwise, there'd be all sorts of reasons to stand on one leg.
Nonsense superstition, that is. Never understood it.
Thane in again. Oh, good straight delivery, which Briggs is solidly forward to. Plays it up to mid-off. Warwickshire 43 for 6, closing in on the 53 they need to avoid the ignominy of the lowest ever total for Warwickshire against Essex, 53 here at Edgbaston in 1957.
Something tells me that they won't be thinking about that at all. I just want to survive and get something up there.
Here comes Thane again, and this is flayed to backward point for 4 by Danny Briggs. Bit of width, a little bit short from Thane, and Briggs took full advantage, moves to 8.47 for 6.
He's flying along, Briggs. 2 scoring shots, 2 boundaries. He's 8 off 4. He did have plenty of width there, and that ball just sat up perfectly for him. He'd come down the pitch a little bit as well. It might be interesting just to watch the movements of Pepper. That helmet is still sitting there at the moment, but just on the ground behind him.
Here comes Thane again, driven again, 4 more for Danny Briggs. Slightly more thickish edge this one, down to 3rd man again, but he was under some control of it. And Warwickshire is up to 50. The scoreboard's normally lightning fast, but I don't think it's put that one up yet, has it?
I don't think it has it?
Normally the scoreboard here at Edgbaston almost beats the runs being scored almost instant, but Briggs I'm sure had 8 for 4 before that delivery, in which case Warwickshire have reached 50, which I don't think is one of their more illustrious 50s.
Well, they've brought in an extra fielder now. They've got a gully and a backward point.
Briggs takes a stride down the wicket to Thane and just plays the ball straight back to him. It was indeed the 50 for the Bears. It doesn't elicit a huge round of applause from the faithful, who have been giving their players a few ribald thoughts at times, notably when successive balls went through the fielder's legs to the boundary during that very sloppy hour or 40 minutes of Essex batting this morning. Thane in again, and this one's on the leg stump, and Briggs turns it away to deep mid-wicket for a single. Productive over for Warwickshire, 52 for 6, and I think that will be lunch. The players are trying to make it so. The slip cordon has moved towards the pavilion, and yes, everybody else is joining them. So that's the end of the first session. Sessions don't come much better than that for Essex, Warwickshire 52 for 6. Are we going to see a fight back here?
Well, I hope we see some fight. I don't know if it's fight back, but hopefully
I'm just about to go on. Just 2:10. This is Brian Halford at Edgbaston, where Warwickshire are staring down the barrel of a humiliating defeat to Essex at lunch on the second day, needing 154 to avoid an innings defeat. They're 52 for 6. It's been a truly wretched morning for the Bears after sloppy bowling and fielding allowed Essex's last wicket to add 60. Warwickshire then collapsed to 3 for 4. Their top order blown away by Essex's seamers. Defeat well inside 2 days beckons, and with other results going against them elsewhere, Warwickshire are still not 100% clear of the threat of relegation. That's the latest from Edgbaston and me, Brian Halford. Very good, well done. That will have cheered up the Warwickshire fans, won't it?
Julie, thanks for saying that.
Well, welcome back, everyone, and I'm Paul Newton. With me, delighted to welcome Warwickshire great Dermot Reeve, and I wish we had a slightly happier story, Dermot.
Well, yeah, I'm delighted to be here, but yeah. I don't think I'll be here tomorrow.
No, I don't think anybody will be. One of my colleagues has the last 2 days of the game, and I'm afraid he's, well, the one thing I think he'll know is that he won't have to set off unless we see a quite remarkable rearguard action from the last 4 Warwickshire wickets, because they still need 102 further runs to avoid the innings defeat. Shane Snater, 5 for 13 in the first innings, 69, top scorer in the match with the bat, and now 1 for 6 in the second as he makes his way now up from the pavilion end and bowls the first ball after lunch, and that ball's turned to mid-wicket, and there is no run. And Warwickshire, who at one point were 3 for 4, are now 52 for 6 with 13 to Danny Briggs and 9 to Mike Burgess.
Yeah, first ball of the innings, a slight anticlimax for Essex, that it didn't jag past the outside edge or hit the batsman on the pad, but it's still doing plenty this wicket.
Snater's in, bowls, and that's 4 runs. Nice back cut there, deliberately played, and Briggs is no mug with the bat. Picks up 4, goes to 17, and that now makes him Warwickshire's highest scorer in the second innings, 56 for 6.
Yeah, he played it really well. He didn't try and hit it too hard.
No.
It was a poor ball, sort of short and wide outside off, but he just let it come sort of past him and just did a back cut and guided it past backward point. We've got 3 slips, a backward point, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket.
Snater's in. Bowls to Briggs, taken on the pad. Might have been an inside edge I heard there into the pad, but it looked to me as if it was going down leg side anyway.
Yeah, not a bad shot, but there was a little noise, sort of 2 noises. Sometimes it's the bat hitting the pad, but sometimes it is an inside edge. But, you know, the fact that the keeper stood up is keeping the batsman in their crease. So it absolutely brings the LBW into play more. Very good tactic from Essex that they used a bit in the first innings as well.
Snater on his way again, comes in and bowls to Briggs, and he's flicked this one away. That may well be 4 more. It's gone down to fine leg, crosses the rope now, and Briggs, who's come out there, and I think he's doing the right thing. There's no point in just poking around with this deficit. He's moved very quickly to 21 off only 11 deliveries, and Warwickshire 60 for 6.
Poor, yeah, that was a poor ball. Angling in, was going to miss leg stump. It was just there to play a leg lance to, but Briggs gave it a flick as well. You know, confident with his wrist work, and as a result, the ball went off the bat quicker than just a little glance.
Snater again. Briggs defends into the offside as Das moves in from cover in front of mid-off to field. While this is going on, Mike Burgess, who's got a lot of runs in this time against Essex, I think will also be very aggressive. He's currently on 9, 60 for 6.
And, you know, the game can change quickly. Suddenly a bowler feels under pressure. I've just gone and hit for 2 boundaries. He's got to make sure that he hits a spot with the ball. If he gets his length wrong, there are runs out there.
Snater bowls again, another defensive shot from Briggs. Very correct technique. That completes not the best over we've seen from Essex, and Warwickshire 52 for 6 at lunch have moved on to 60 for 6.
If you just had turned up at the ground, but like I have,
yes,
I just watched that first over, you'd think there's nothing wrong with the pitch.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's looking good, and yeah, I mean, it might have been sort of a loosener over by Snater, who's had a heck of a game.
And if you watch the last wicket partnership for Essex this morning, you'd have thought, oh, it doesn't look as if the pitch is doing anything now. And then suddenly Porter and Cook get the new ball, and it did all sorts.
I mean, the new ball does do more.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cook's spell in particular was absolutely fantastic. With top draw, the length he bowled, the movement he got.
3 for 10 for Cook. Here's Cook coming in, bowling the first over from the Birmingham end after lunch, and his damage that he did at the start of the innings was from the pavilion end. First ball goes through to Pepper, and no change to the score. Paul Newton with Dermot Reeve here. Great pleasure to have Dermot with us.
And that was a sparkling cover drive there from Burgess. The only trouble was he missed the ball.
Yes.
It was aggressive, but no contact.
Cook again. Bowles, and very correctly Burgess plays the ball out to Snater in the covers, and once again there's no change with Burgess on 9, Briggs 21, and 60 for 6. Warwickshire need a further 94 to avoid the innings defeat. So Cook, there aren't many better bowlers than he in the country, as he's proved season after season, consistency being one of his trademarks. And next ball's played to mid-off, and there is no run. Skipper Tom Wesley fields.
Confident shot from Burgess, full delivery from Cook, not quite a half volley, but Burgess drove at it. Not a huge drive, but a good firm push, and it raced up there to mid-off. But good thing for Burgess, it was off the middle of the bat. Will help his confidence.
Cook bowls to him again, and he nudges this for a single into the offside. Snater runs round in the covers to retrieve 61 for 6, and Burgess into double figures.
And it's a completely different day to yesterday. Yesterday was blue skies. At the moment we got the floodlights on at Edgbaston, and it's pretty much low cloud and completely overcast. So normally you would say that adds to the fact that there might be, help retain the moisture in the pitch, so that it'll help with movement for the seamers.
Was meant to be sunny by now, but not a sign of it. It's that's squirted through. It's stopped at slip, and they've gone through for a single, and it looks as if there was a bit of bat on that, and score up to 62 for 6 as it ends up going down very fine in the leg side, and Briggs moves on to 22.
And that is what can happen if the keeper stood up. If the keeper was back there, that probably would have been taken, or probably would have been a wicket.
Yeah.
As first slip had to dive full length to his left. I think it just carried, but that was a let off for Briggs and Warwickshire.
Next delivery is nudged down, and that's going to go for 4, down just past the diving backward point. 66 for 6, all the 6s on the board, the Devil's number. Burgess profiting with in fact Briggs profiting with a boundary there. No, I think it was right first Burgess. Time, but it was Burgess. The board is so quick that it quickly had the little green indicator of the man on strike change almost before the ball crossed the boundary there, because that was the last ball of the over.
Absolutely. And a good over from Cook, one that could have easily produced the wicket of Briggs with that. It was just an orthodox outside edge.
Yeah.
That went to first slip's left, very wide to his left. And as I said, if the keeper had been, first slip's always behind the keeper, so it would have absolutely carried easily for the keeper had he been stood back.
Yeah.
But Essex have gone with his tactic of the keeper standing up.
Snater's in, bowls to Briggs, plays the ball to mid-wicket, remains on 22, 14 to Burgess, 66 for 6 on the board.
Clickety click.
So Snater making the way out to the top of his run up again from the pavilion end.
Good to see mid-off there, just working hard on the ball for Snater. Very important.
He's a great polisher, Tom Wesley. Even long before he was captain, that was always his chore. As this one strays onto leg stump and has been clipped away, and 4 more runs over the backward square leg boundary there, nicely picked up by Briggs, who's moved along to 26 out of 70 for 6.
Yeah, really good shot. Very confident. Full leg stump half volley, and it got the treatment, but it got the treatment with some authority from Briggs. He obviously likes it there when the ball's on his pads. It's a very sort of say Asian flick of the wrist, like a Mohammed Azharuddin, whipping it through the leg side.
For the first time in the match, Snater not been quite at his best since lunch. Bowls again, and this ball's forced through the offside for 4. Beautiful timing there from Briggs. No effort really in the shot, but just all timing. And away it sped over the cover boundary. 74 for 6, and Briggs up to 30 impressively.
Yeah, that was, the shot that we see Joe Root play.
Yeah.
All the time for England, where it's just a bit short outside off, and you just let it come close to you. Don't try and hit it too hard. Get the timing right. But those last 2 shots from Briggs have looked absolutely at the top of the draw.
Yeah, Jeff Boycott got a lot of runs into that area. Just nudging the ball through the covers. This is Snater again. Bowls, and that ball runs off a little bit of the outside part of the bat down to backward point. Noah Thane, no runs, 74 for 6.
I got Boycott LBW at Headingley when I was a young fella, and he'd coached me in Hong Kong. And he was like, you're that lad with the mother. I remember you. And then after I got him out, he didn't talk to me for the rest.
Yeah.
He didn't talk to me for the rest of the match.
Yes, he wouldn't do. But they've gone well since the lunch break, Warwickshire. Now just 80 runs short of saving the innings defeat. And Briggs plays the next ball, just leaning on the ball and playing it defensively into the offside. Robin Das intercepts from cover in front of mid-off. And Briggs, as I say, onto a very smart 30. Only came in about 8 minutes before lunch. Burgess has 14. I'm sure this partnership, both members of it, are taking what chances are going. I think it has to be the right policy.
Well, Briggs, he's just playing the ball on its merits.
Exactly.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
He's putting the bad ball away.
Snater bowls to him. It's a good delivery, and he just doesn't play too hard at that. He lets the ball come onto the bat and runs it again out to Das in the offside. So a profitable over for Warwickshire there, and they've added 22 without further loss since lunch. 74 for 6.
Well, they've absolutely been better than Essex in the last 3 overs.
Yeah, no, it's true. And the Cook over was quite a good one, but Snater hasn't quite been on it since lunch. Probably perhaps may have eaten a little bit too much, I don't know, but nobody can say he hasn't earned his corn in this game, because he got 5 for 13 in the first innings and then top scored with the bat with 69.
And the umpires just came together for a little chat there. I think it was a discussion over the state of the ball.
That's right.
Perhaps Essex aren't happy with... They've got them 74 for 6 and they want to change the ball for a better one.
Yeah.
But the umpires have said, no, you're going to keep bowling with this one, Mr. Cook.
Well, they'll try all the tricks, Essex, and obviously they feel that 22 off 3 overs must be something wrong with the ball. Cook's in, bowls, a nice take from Michael Pepper as Burgess pushes at this outside off stump and fails to connect.
Yeah, you'd just say now normal service resumed.
Yeah.
After that delivery.
Whipped the bails off nicely there, Pepper, but Burgess had not left his ground.
Yeah, I think for Cook, I'd be saying stand back.
Yeah.
I think there is every chance of an outside edge, which is obviously easier to catch if you are stood back.
Cook's on his way again from the Birmingham end. Repeated the previous ball in many ways. This one bounces just a little bit more, but same outcome.
Yeah, and that's just, moved off the wicket. Big leg cutter. That ball yesterday from Barnard that...
cracker.
2 foot outside off stump and cut back in and hit the stumps.
Yeah, Paul Walter had no chance for that. And bowled very well, actually, Barnard yesterday. Here's Cook. Bowls to Burgess, who gets everything behind this, plays it out into the cover, slight misfield from Snater, but not at the cost of a run.
Yeah, the one field position I'd be tempted at the moment, and how the game is to actually bowl without a fine leg. You're not going to try and bounce him out.
No.
On this. I might risk taking fine leg away and having an extra slip, because you've got 2 slips, and there's a gap to a man at sort of 4th slip.
As Cook comes in again. Bowls, and for the 3rd time this over, it's another good delivery from Cook, who's at the batsman all the time. Quite a good amount of bounce there as Pepper takes it around his midriff, and he's quite a tall man, and the score remains on 74 for 6.
And it's deliveries like that that would make me say you don't want the fine leg.
Yeah.
You know, you've got more chance of him edging it through to third man for 4. But let's have an extra catcher, because we only need 4 good balls.
Yeah.
4 wickets and it's game over.
Cook's in, bowls to Burgess, plays it to mid-off. Skipper Tom Wesley, there's no run there. And yeah, I mean, the number of times I've seen, not necessarily Essex, but any team, 2 slips in the gully or a 4th slip, as you say, and the ball goes bang through the gap, and next ball, they put that fielder in.
Yeah, it's about being proactive as a captain.
Anticipating.
And looking at what the bowler's doing with the ball and where the ball's most likely to go off the bat.
Because Cook very rarely strays down leg side as he bowls again. And this is another ball on off stump that Burgess has played back to the bowler. Maiden over, very good over again from Cook. There's not quite as much movement as there was when the ball was brand new. But Warwickshire still need 80 to avoid the innings defeat. They're 74 for 6.
And with the dozen deliveries Cook has bowled since lunch, not one ball has gone off the bat onto the leg side.
No.
So, you know, he could comfortably bowl with the 7-2 offside field.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have that extra catcher. While Snater he's been a bit wayward in his first 2 overs. He's gone for boundaries on the offside twice and on the leg side twice.
Here he comes now from the pavilion end. Bowls, and Briggs has very crisply played a confident shot. Won't actually produce a run for him as it's fielded at mid-wicket. But once again, good batting from Briggs, who's seeing the ball well. Paul Walter, the man who falls a little heavily to his left there in preventing the boundary.
Well, it nearly carried to him.
Yeah.
It was clicked with that sort of authority, but the ball went in the air a long way. Sometimes, that short mid-wicket position used to get Mark Lathwell out all the time.
As Snater bowls, and a bit of a waft here from Briggs. He didn't move the feet there, and it was well outside off stump. Needed to have got front or back foot across if he was going to reach that. 74 for 6.
It looked like he didn't know whether to hit it, down or up.
Yeah.
It was wide, wide and short, but it did have a bit more pace. So, and that's more difficult to play an uppercut over backward point. But he's going for his shots.
Snater again to Briggs, and he's forced this one away through the covers. That'll be 4 more, and it's pretty quick outfield here, and you only really have to lay bat on ball through a gap and nobody's going to catch it. 78 for 6, fine shot, let it be said. All timing again. Briggs up to 34.
Yep, short and wide again from Snater. He really hasn't found his accuracy. He bowled beautifully in the first inning to get his 5 wickets, and picked up a wicket just before lunch, but he hasn't been on the money, as they say, on the spot since lunch.
Snater bowls to him again, and that's a better ball and takes something of a leading edge out along the ground, let it be said, to cover and feign. But 78 for 6. Briggs, a good record against Essex on this ground. I remember he got, I think it was a 66 not out here once.
Oh, he's absolutely looking like a batsman out there. He's looking comfortable, just because the number on your back of your shirt is number 8, and you're batting number 8 in the order. There's no reason why you can't bat just because you're a bowler. No,
and he always has been able to bat. As just about see the first glimpse of sun as this one takes an inside edge and is well stopped by Pepper, who is standing back to Snater, and in consequence the score remains at 78 for 6.
And that's what happens every now and again on this surface, is you just get a ball that's unplayable.
Yeah.
That once again that snipped back from about 2 foot outside off, stayed a touch low, and the batsman's there looking to play another back foot drive, but no chance of making contact.
Snater again to Briggs, and that one's got him in trouble, and he's caught at second slip by Simon Harmer. And well, I say that, I thought Harmer was claiming the catch, and no, perhaps it did. Well,
that just came off the pad.
Yeah, I suppose so, because it carried
And, you know, because he's playing a shot, the impact was outside off, so you can't be LBW.
Yeah, my apologies, false alarm.
Yeah, it would have been a really good shout for LBW had he not played a shot. And it was, once again, you know, that line outside off. But Snater, the last couple of balls there, nipping the ball back a lot. 4 runs coming off the over, just that one boundary off his 3rd delivery.
As Cook begins a new over from the Birmingham end, and forward comes Briggs and plays it down to Wesley at mid-off. Score remaining at 78 for 6.
Well, he's done really well to play that shot, because he's actually at the non-striker's end, Briggs.
Oh,
but it did look a bit like his normal technique. Briggs's forward defences, but that is Burgess.
Thank you. As Burgess prepares to face the next delivery from Cook, and drives this one very pleasantly.
That's a nice shot.
4 runs all the way.
Nice shot for 4.
Yeah, nicely timed.
I remember commentating with Richie Benno when at Old Trafford, and Vittori bowled a ball to Alex Stewart, and there was an appeal for a catch behind that wasn't a very good appeal, and the camera came in on Alex Stewart's face, and Richie went, "Mike Atherton doesn't look too happy about that." And I thought, he's got the wrong man here, and I had to give him a little tap and say, Richie, that's Alex Stewart.
Here's the next delivery from Cook in and bowls, and the ball turned into the onside, and they will get a single. And that takes the score to 83 for 6.
And when I said to Richie, that's Alex Stewart, Atherton's a non-striker, he said to me, "Thank you, Dermot." And then he picked up the microphone and said, "So he's just having a word with the umpire at the non-striker's end, and Alex Stewart doesn't look too happy about it either." And if you were sat at home, you would have never known in a million years that he'd actually made a mistake. He covered it up beautifully.
Yeah, very clever man. Cook's in, bowls to Burgess, and that ball to Briggs, I should say. That ball goes through outside off stump, and score remaining at 83 for 6. So 71 more needed to avoid the innings defeat. These two have added 31 since lunch.
And I think this is sensible. The keeper's gone back now. Pepper's back, number 19 on his shirt, and the ball is carrying through nicely. Cook's got 3 for 21. He's definitely lively medium, fast medium.
Bowls now to Briggs, plays the ball out into the covers. Shane Snater fields, and there is no run.
And I think that the time to come up as a keeper, it's either it's a very slow pitch, or that the batsman is deliberately, say, batting a yard out of his crease or walking down. But if the batsman is just in his normal stance, I think the percentage play is to have the keeper back.
Cook again, bowls, and Briggs 4 more runs. He's edged this. It did quickly go to ground. It beats the dive of Critchley at 3rd slip and through to the boundary, and that takes the score to 87 for 6, and Briggs on to 38.
And once again, the ball going to the boundary, but going on the offside, not off the edge down to fine leg, but off the edge to 3rd man, and they could have plugged that gap. No,
absolutely. I mean, they had 4 slips to Cook in the first innings, and had there been one there, it would have been stopped presumably, and there would have been no run. And Cook, I can't remember him bowling a ball outside leg stump since lunch.
No.
If at all. He simply doesn't bowl it there very often.
And that's where, in the field, it's not just up to the captain. Nick Knight, for example, when he came to Warwickshire, he was always coming up to me with suggestions. And, everyone out there should be trying to think like a captain. And, if Cook hasn't thought of it, or the captain hasn't, then, maybe it takes one of the other players to say, hey, Skip, do we really need a fine leg at the minute? Because
good to give Nick Knight a mention, obviously very much of Essex interest, and I think it was a great shame from an Essex point of view when he left, and he did a very good job, I thought, for Warwickshire.
Well, I saw him play at Chelmsford, and he was like batting at number 6, and I had a chat with him after the game. I was the one who instigated.
Oh, well done.
Knighty making the move and coming up to Warwickshire.
Snater's in and bowls to Burgess. And that's a lovely shot, but very well fielded to his own bowling, straight drive.
And then on Nighty's first day here at Edgbaston, I took him into the indoor school and I taught him how to reverse sweep. And I taught him how to play a premeditated paddle. And I think he really, one of the reasons he wanted to come to Warwickshire was he'd seen us be a bit more inventive against, say, spin. I mean, Essex have always been a fantastic side, and they were in those days, but I think it was good for Nighty's game, the move.
Yeah, no, it certainly was. As Snater's in bowls, and this ball is played. 2 runs here into a gap on the onside. The ball ends up exactly square and fielded by Sam Cook. And score up to 89 for 6, and a 50 partnership is realised in no time at all. Yes, Knight's difficulty at Essex, he wanted the opening slot.
Yeah.
And he didn't get it, and Warwickshire did offer him that, and I think, as you say, it was a good career move for him, because he would have loved to have stayed at Essex, but as I say, they wouldn't let him open. And I think he thoroughly enjoyed his time up here as Snater bowls, and that ball is off-driven to Wesley at mid-off. There's no run.
One thing he also was really good at here at Warwickshire was his catching at slip.
Yes.
He was, and he'd like to go reverse cup. Even if the ball was low, you'd find him reversing sort of his hands like Ricky Ponting, sort of the Australian style. And I remember saying to Atherton, "Oh, Nighty's such a good slipper." And then he went up and I think got into the slips at Old Trafford in a test match and dropped a couple. And Atherton obviously didn't agree with me.
Snater is in and bowls to Burgess, who defends back down the pitch, 89 for 6. And yeah, he's a nice chap actually, Nick Knight, and he was actually sorely missed, I think, in retrospect by Essex.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes as a cricketer, if you're feeling you're not getting the opportunity in a county, and that was how I felt at Sussex. I had 5 years down at Sussex, but I was batting at number 10. I actually batted number 11 once for Sussex. So eventually, yes, I moved up the order to number 7, but I still didn't feel I was getting opportunity with the bat. So I had to move.
Snater's in, bowls, and ball played down to mid-off and fielded by Wesley again, 89 for 6. Another 65 needed to save the innings defeat.
So your career goes quite quickly.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
For me, once I got signed by Warwickshire, I ended up getting the opportunity to bat a bit higher, and 4-day cricket came in. That gave you opportunity if you stay at number 6 or 7. But I ended up averaging 40 with the bat at Warwickshire, for Warwickshire.
Very useful as Snater is in bowls, and that's a nice shot, but straight to Robin Dass in the covers, and the over ends with Warwickshire 52 for 6 at lunch, having added 37 at far better than a run a minute. And Burgess has made 21, but it's been Briggs in particular who's caught the eye with an array of boundary shots, all beautifully timed, and he has 38.
And I've actually just had a flashback of Imran Khan, who just did not rate me at all as a batsman. And here in a game against Warwickshire for Sussex, he recommended to Johnny Barclay that I bat 11 instead of 10 while we were trying to defend a game.
Yeah.
And he just came out, looked at the scoreboard and went, "Oh dear." Then he looked at me with my pads on and he went, "Oh, S-H-I-T. Johnny, where's Johnny, the captain?" "Over here, Emmy." "Oh, Dermot can't bat. Put Wall in 10, bat Dermot 11. And that's what actually happened. I went in number 11 and I got out first ball, LBW to Paul Smith for naught.
Here's the start of a new over. Jamie Porter into the attack, relieving Sam Cook, and the ball has been back cut. They've taken 2. I don't think they're going to go for a third, and indeed they won't. And Briggs moves up to 40. The score to 91 for 6.
And it has been nice to come back to Edgbaston, but that flashpoint I just had there was my lowest moment ever as a cricketer, because I came back into the changing room. And Imran went, "I told you so," and everybody laughed.
Yeah, not nice as Porter's in. Birmingham end bowls, and this ball nudged straight to Noah Thane, the fieldsman at deep backward point, posted there now after the previous delivery. Scored a 92 for 6, and Briggs up to 41.
And they've looked really comfortable, haven't they?
They have.
Since lunch.
No, I was just thinking that. I mean, it wouldn't be the greatest surprise, based on the evidence that we've been watching, if this partnership, if nothing else, saw off the first innings arrears. Long way to go yet, but they've gone about it the right way, because if they just poked around, the end would have been inevitable. It may still be, but at least they'll have shown a bit of spirit. Porter just aborted his run up a moment ago, but is now firing on all cylinders as he bowls, and that ball is nudged into the onside to be fielded at mid-wicket. And that's Ben Allison who's on. I'm not sure for whom. Quite possibly Sam Cook may have just nipped off at the end of his spell. But in any event, 12th man on the field, 92 for 6.
Yeah, and that ball's nipped back. So, you know, Burgess has played it really well. Good forward defensive. But just because of the movement of the ball in, it's gone off the bat to mid-wicket. So
yeah.
He's actually played it beautifully and straight.
Porter is into Bolton again, and they're playing a miss here. It's fine bowling from Porter. Pepper again takes the bails off just as a bit of insurance in case the batsman should have left his ground. Not so. 92 for 6.
Fine delivery. Once again showing that, you know, if you get your wrist in the right position and give your wrist a flick and you manage to find that perfect line and length, the ball then on pitching nips away like a leg break.
Porter bowls, and this time the ball is played out of the middle of the bat. Back to the bowler. One ball left of this over, and at the end of it we'll bring Brian Halford in to join you, Dermot, with the current score 92 for 6.
Well, yeah, they got every chance of making more than they did in the first innings. Well, they have.
They have, yes.
They've gone past the 78.
Right, yes.
For a minute there I thought they'd made 98, but...
And Porter to complete the over. Bowls, and another play and a miss there. It kept low. Pepper can't take it cleanly, but it's not to matter. Burgess survives the over, but it was a good return from Jamie Porter there. So 92 for 6, 52 more needed to avoid the innings defeat. More words from Dermot, and he'll be joined by Brian Halford.
Well, that was a fantastic last delivery from Porter. He's got up nice and high with his action, but you could literally see him flick his wrist on the point of delivery, and the ball's angling in, and then on pitching goes from leg to off, you know, at a decent pace, but yeah, fine delivery. And once again, at that sort of pace, it ends up pretty unplayable for the batsman. He's just happy that he's played and missed. Afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon, Dermot. Sam Cook coming up, trying to find another unplayable delivery. He's come up with enough in this match, I think, from Warwishire's point of view. Starts with a straight one, which Danny Briggs defends. A bit of resistance from the Bears, at least, Dermot.
Yeah, they've played well since lunch, and you know, Snater's spell was poor by his standards in this game. A couple of leg stump half volleys, a few short and wide, but Cook will be probably much more accurate.
Having said that, he just drifts a little to leg stump there, but the LBW appeal is going nowhere because it was well down the leg side, and they take a leg by. 93 for 6, needing 154 to avoid an innings defeat. Michael Burgess on 21, Danny Briggs 41. Is this the start of one of the most sensational fight backs ever, or is it just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic? Probably the latter, I suspect, but some fight at least being shown by the Bears. Cook is in again, outside off stump, and Burgess was just tempted to have a jab at that one, and really well taken by Pepper standing up. Oh,
well, that's not just seamed away and being a huge leg cutter from Cook, but it's also bounced. You know, instead of coming through at, say, waist height, it ended up bouncing and coming through more at chest height. And fantastic keeping, because Pepper's decided, right, I'm going to stand up again to Cook. And that is a good call, Dermot, because Michael Pepper is really, he's in the firing line there and doing brilliantly. No work for him this time as Burgess defends that one out into the offside. I wouldn't have him up, though. I mean, I think, yeah, the chances of him getting a stumping a slim, because the batsman will come into their crease. I think there's, yes, it brings the LBW into play more, and there have been a few of them, but...
Does it also make life more difficult for the slips? Because the first slip must... Can you see anything past the keeper there? I don't know if the keeper's standing up. Here comes Cook again. And dead straight back from Burgess, sends the ball at the mid-off.
But what happens is, as a slip, and if you're at first slip, what you do is you watch the ball. You follow the ball out of the bowler's hand, and you just follow the ball all the way. But then, if the keeper is stood up, you lose sight of the ball as he edges it, because he's absolutely in the way.
Well, we're just dead in line, aren't we? Of the pitch is just a little to our left, and I'm looking at almost directly at first slip through the batsman and the wicket keeper. And if an edge goes to the first slip, then my word, he's got his work cut out to take it. This is solidly defended by Burgess. Cook finishes his 11th over, has 3 for 25. Warwickshire 93 for 6. It's a strange game, probably unique cricket, isn't it, Dermot? Because if you're losing a football match or a rugby match heavily, it's only 80 or 90 minutes, isn't it? Cricket, your ordeal can go on for an awfully long time, can't you? If you're this far behind in a game, what's the mindset? Do you just think, well, we can still get out of trouble, or do you just play for professional?
Sometimes it's what batsmen are thinking about, waiting to go in, that can be the key to actually, winning the match. Because if you're sitting there with negative thoughts before you go in, if you think anything's going to be difficult, it will be difficult.
Porter in again to try and make life difficult for Briggs, but this one has slashed away to third man for 4. He was in control of that. It was a little bit finer than he was intending, I think, but it was along the ground, and Briggs moves to 45.
Yeah, it's a lovely shot, actually. Lovely cut, but just getting back to that point, Brian, batsmen waiting to go in have got to go, this is my day. We're going to have the biggest partnership. When I go in, me and the batsman that I join, it's going to be the biggest partnership of the innings. Yep. You've got to be thinking those thoughts. That means you start playing a little movie in your head of yourself succeeding. Yep. It might not happen. The chances are it won't happen, but at least you're thinking the right way.
Indeed. Well, Briggs has been extremely positive in this innings. This time he's forced to defend by a good delivery from Porter and just jabs this out to mid-wicket. Yes, in all aspects of positivity is good, isn't it? But I remember when I played club cricket at a very low level, one of my problems was when I went into bat, I thought I'd probably be coming back out again the next ball.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't very confident, and I don't think that helped sometimes.
Absolutely not. You have to, the game happens one ball at a time, and you've got to see yourself in your head succeed, because it's your subconscious that takes over.
Sure. It's a short delivery, and Briggs almost diverts this onto his stumps. He didn't have a clue where that one had gone, and I think it may even have diverted onto the ground and then over the stumps. It was very, very close to knocking off that leg bail, but Briggs survives, and about 30 seagulls celebrate with a lap of the ground to our right. I don't know what happened up there to unsettle them. The sun, for the first time on this very grey day, is breaking through, so maybe that will just help ease the batting conditions a little bit. This one is beautifully played by Briggs, a little bit short from Porter, and Briggs just softens the hands, guides it all the way down to the third man boundary, and it's just reeled in right on the rope there, and Briggs takes 2.
Yeah, but when he defends, he plays the ball nice and late, plays it with soft hands, and there he's just guided it through the gap between the 2 slips and the 4th slip. But the ball before was straighter, and he defended it and played it really late, but it bounced and went over the top of the stumps, which can happen sometimes.
This time he drives quite extravagantly, doesn't go in the middle of the bat, finds extra cover on the first bounce. 99 for 6. The Bears, Essex still massively on top in the game, but just for a few moments Warwickshire are enjoying a little bit of relative comfort. 61 now the partnership for the 7th wicket.
Well, I mean, Briggs is 47 off 38 balls. He's been very positive, but he hasn't slogged at all. There's been no slogging. He's just played the ball on its merits.
This is a good straight delivery from Briggs, from Porter, which Briggs smothers well and then picks up the ball and helpfully hands it to a fielder. 99 for 6. Yes, and as you say, Briggs has been selectively attacking, hasn't he? But he's just punished the looser balls that have come along.
Yeah, and the shot that's really stood out is, you know, through the offside. He has played some lovely flicks off his pads, but when the ball's been a little bit short and outside off, he's played it with a straight bat, but played it nice and late, used the pace of the ball, and, you know, he's found the gaps going through the gully area down to third man and to the offside backward point boundary. You know, his placement on those occasions has been really good. And then occasionally, you know, he's got one from outside off that's just nipped back and been unplayable, and, you know, fortunately hasn't hit the off stump or found the inside edge.
Yep.
So you still got to have a bit of luck when those unplayable balls come down at you. But as you say, the key has been he's been positive is when he's found anything remotely loose, he's gone after it. And
he has, and he's just, for the first time in this whole match really, he's just put the pressure a little bit back onto Essex. We've got a bit of a hold up here because Michael Pepper is getting, I think it's treatment. I can't see because the physio or whoever it is out there has got his back to us, and it's either treatment to a hand or he's giving him some more strapping for a glove. I mean, those hands must be taking a bit of a battering because he's standing up to some quite sharp bowlers, Michael Pepper.
Well, most wicket keepers end up with, you know, swollen knuckles, etc. All it takes is getting a ball slightly on the end of the finger.
Yeah.
And those ligaments around the knuckle area get that sort of explosion, and straight away your knuckles puff up. I mean, I think in this day and age, you probably find just about every keeper will have all those knuckles strapped. Yeah. Just for a bit of extra support. But
I wonder if that's what's happening here, some extra strapping. It's taking a little bit of time, but we can't quite see because the attendant has got his back in the way of what he's doing to Michael Pepper's left hand, but I assume that it is some more strapping because the ball is thundering into those gloves at quite a pace.
Yeah, and we definitely assume it is the physio and not the wicket-keeping coach.
Have they got a wicket-keeping coach?
No,
okay.
Of course not. But you know, when the physio has to come on and end up putting, after doing, say, your strapping or redoing your strapping, extra support, and actually has to physically put the glove on for you.
Yes.
That can show that there's a little bit of a problem that young Pepper's having, but he's kept beautifully.
He has, and he doesn't seem in any distress. He's going back there now and getting straight back in the firing line. As Sam Cook, with 11 overs, 5 maidens, 3 for 25 to his credit, begins another over of very straight delivery. When isn't it from Sam Cook? A straight delivery, and Burgess defends. Quite a decent gathering at the far end for this last home game of the season. It hasn't been a home season to remember for the Bears. A lot of draws. Of course, 3 games in April and another one in September, so that those games you're not going to get too much hot weather to bask in. And a tough watch for the Bears fans today. This is nicely played off the front foot by Michael Burgess, but doesn't beat the cover fielder.
I think they're a bit nicer, the supporters, these days, Brian. I remember my first game here at Edgbaston. I left the ball from Paul Jarvis and got LBW, and as I walked off, I was greeted, you know, leaving the ground by this voice that went, "Try using your bat next time, Reeve."
Oh, well, there can be a tough jury here, Dermot, as Burgess is out on the pad. That must be close. I wonder if there was a bit of an inside edge that saved him. That's a decent appeal. That I think Michael Burgess was a little concerned because he backed away very quickly outside leg stump.
Well, it was out. It was out, and it was absolutely plumb, unless there was just a little tickle. And there was, you know, there was that sort of sound that you get in your headphones that of a double noise, and the bat was nowhere near the pad, so probably a good decision. We're just seeing a replay of it now, and
a bit of bat in there.
Well, that was the only thing that could have saved him.
Yeah.
And he's the only one who'll know.
Burgess forward in defence. Yes, they can be a demanding jury here at the Edgbaston. I remember Nick Knight telling me one time that when he took over as captain, his first match as captain, they bowled, and after about 20 minutes, "Sort it out, Knight," came from the crowd. Nick said he felt he'd been accepted as Warwickshire captain there. His first bit of barracking after 20 minutes. 99 for 6. The Bears have been teetering on the brink of 100 for some time. Can they get it this time? They can't, as Burgess stretches forward and plays it up to mid-on. 99 for 6. Burgess 21. Briggs 47. And there might be one or two in the upper order looking at the way these two are batting and thinking, well, you know, these could have been our runs. There was some good bowling, certainly very, very good bowling on yesterday morning and this morning by Essex, but some of the Bears batters clearly not in form and confidence. Cook is in again, good delivery, which Burgess keeps out uncomfortably, just guides it onto the leg side off his glove, I think that was. Another really good over from Sam Cook. 28 overs in this ball now, but it's still doing plenty. 99 for 6.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things from lunch is those little moments where, you know, a good delivery has gone down. You know, the fortune has gone the way of the batsman, and that is, you know, when you get a wicket that is moving prodigiously and going sideways off the seam, at times, you know, you can say cricket can become a little bit of a lottery, because you can just get one. Yeah. That you say you just get a ball with your name on it, yeah. But what you've got to be doing as a captain is you've got to be making all the right moves with your bowling changes and with your field placements.
Jamie Porter and Briggs defends on into the covers for no run. Yes, so we've spoken a bit about Shane Snater's excellent innings. I think Jamie Porter's input shouldn't be denied as well. Averages under 6 in first class cricket with a bat, but he batted there for 40 minutes this morning, allowing Snater to score vital runs and didn't look in any discomfort at all. So well played him, and as always, well played him with the ball in both innings. He's got 2 for 32 so far this time round, and Briggs just defends this one into the offside. Well, it should have been on 99 for several overs now.
That's just bounced a bit more from Porter. It's nipped back as well. Well defended by Briggs, and he's just got to be a bit careful when he does defend the ball that late, you know, and with soft hands, that because of that extra sort of bounce occasionally, the ball doesn't roll back onto his stumps.
Yes, that's almost happened a couple of times. This is further up from Porter, and Briggs tucks it away to mid-wicket.
There's a real contest going on right at the moment in this match between Porter and Briggs here, because Porter knows if he gives them, you know, anything a bit loose, Briggs is likely to put it away. But at the moment, it's the bowler who's on top. He's making batting and life difficult for Briggs.
Briggs waits again, drives beautifully for 4. Lovely shot through the extra cover gap, and Briggs moves to a beautiful half-century, really, from 43 balls out of nowhere. Warwickshire's batting has just been a real struggle in both innings, and yet Danny Briggs has unveiled a very elegant half-century from 43 balls. 44 of the 51 runs have come from boundaries.
And that was a heck of a shot. Maybe brought on slightly from the pressure that Porter has been serving up with you know, dot after dot, because it was a sort of extravagant drive, but beautifully timed.
This one forces Briggs onto the defensive. He just tucks it up to mid-on. 103 for 6. Warwickshire still 51 short of avoiding an innings defeat. Essex 99.96% certain to win this game. Will they win it in 2 days is a question that's beginning to arise, but they've still got 54 overs today.
But that's not the attitude, Brian. If you're in the Warwickshire changing room, that you want your batsmen who are coming in.
Yeah.
You know, they've got to go. Well, look at the Essex last wicket that put on.
Yeah.
How many? 58 was it? Or 60?
Yeah, 60
for the last wicket. You know, so Warwickshire got. If Warwickshire put on 60 for every wicket that's left, you know, that's how they've got to be thinking and believing in the changing room.
Yeah.
And we have seen it in cricket. You know, there have been large wicket partnerships of over 100.
Indeed, and everyone in the Warwickshire side can hold a bat. Whether Chris Rushworth will be fit to bat, it remains to be seen. He didn't field, of course, and obviously I think he's got a calf problem. But if they do get a few in front, I mean, I don't know whether they'd want to risk aggravating Rushworth's injury in a lost cause, but if they do get a few in front, maybe they'll send him out. Here comes Cook again, over-pitched and driven for 4 by Michael Burgess. A very nice straight drive just onto the onside of the stumps.
He's been very watchful, Burgess, but he has played well. He's been, you know, served up a lot of good deliveries that he just had to defend and play late. But he is a very, very fine batsman, and that was, in a lot of ways, the shot of the morning. Just a bit full from Cook. And a beautiful straight drive, slightly on the leg side, past mid-on, and it was a gorgeous 4.
He waits again. This one isn't quite so gorgeous. He tries to off-drive it, but skews it away through mid-wicket, and I think he's going to get 2, maybe 3. They just settle for 2, and he moves to 27. It's a little bit extravagant there.
Yeah, he was away. He tried to repeat the shot from the ball before, but this one wasn't quite full enough. So, you know, all it's got to do is just deviate slightly off the pitch, and you get a thick inside edge, as opposed to the middle of the bat. But because he went at it aggressively, he ended up getting a couple of runs.
He waits again, straight on middle stump by Cook, and Burgess just defends it up to mid-off, where skipper Tom Wesley fields, and the sunshine breaks through.
And Tom Wesley straight away putting a bit of moisture into the shiny side of the ball, and giving it a good rub on his right thigh. His white's I've got a big red stripe on the back. He does work hard on the ball.
Cooking again, and Burgess defends compactly out into the offside. Michael Burgess has batted so well for Warwickshire in the last 2 or 3 years. He's got them out of some holes. This is one of the bigger ones that he's had to get them out of, but he's looking as well organised as ever. Michael Burgess, very talented batsman and a fine wicketkeeper as well.
Yeah, he's been a great signing for the Bears. Really good performer.
We've probably talked him out now, but here comes Cook again, and no, right solid forward defensive shot from Michael Burgess. The bowler fields in his follow through.
Yeah, he's got a very uncomplicated technique. You know, what some batsmen have the bat down, and they wait till the ball's bowled, and then they go up and down. You know, the likes of Mark Ward spring to mind, but Burgess holds the bat up. You know, and after the ball's bowled, you know, all he does with the bat is come down, come forward. So he makes it batting easier for himself, if you like.
Drives this one pleasantly up to mid-off, won't beat the field, and remains on 27. Danny Briggs, 51, trailed by 45.
And you know, one of the things, Brian, is batsmen who bat with that technique, say, of Burgess, and every time I coach someone, I want to give them more time, you know, because you want a bit more time when you're facing someone fast, is I say to them, hold your bat up, keep it up nice and high, and then after the ball's bowled, just come forward. There's less to do. You haven't got to get the timing right, but it's not quite as aesthetically pleasing. Someone like Mark Waugh had his bat down, and the ball would be bowled, and then he'd go up, down, so you get that timing and that sort of flair.
Here comes Jamie Porter, driven by Danny Briggs up to extra cover. I'll just continue to chunter on for a little, if I may, Dermot, because they're going to come over for an update to local news bulletins quite soon.
I'll give you a score after you've done your bulletin. I'll give you a score out of 10.
Thank you very much. I feel under pressure now.
Think positively.
100. I'm going to get out first ball. 109 for 6 as Porter comes in and beats Briggs. See, they're appealing for the catch behind. Nobody's interested other than the bowler and the wicket keeper. This is Brian Halford at Edgbaston, where Warwickshire are in deep trouble, needing 154 to avoid an innings defeat to Essex. They are 109 for 6. The Bears was this morning was a shocker for the Bears. After Essex last wicket added 60, Warwickshire dipped to 3 for 4 and then 38 for 6. They have recovered through Michael Burgess on 27 and Danny Briggs on 51. They've added 71, but still a long way to go. Whether this is the start of an incredible fight back or just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, we'll see. It's probably going to be the latter, because Danny Briggs has just fallen for 51. Warwickshire 109 for 7. That's the latest from Edgbaston and me, Brian Halford. Could do without a live wicket on air, but
well, beautiful bowling from Porter. He may have got him out the ball before, where there was a huge appeal, but no chance with of him getting away with that one. In fact, he walked. It was away from it, outside off. Good line and length, just moving away, but not moving away extravagantly, just enough to find the edge. And the end of Briggs' innings has happened.
And
so that's vital breakthrough.
That's what Essex do, isn't it? These two high-quality bowlers, they just keep the pressure on, don't they? And they keep asking the question, and they keep asking the question, and it demands a lot of the batsman to concentrate. It's a test of the technique, and fair play to Essex. They've absolutely outplayed Warwickshire, and they're closing in on victory. Craig Miles is next man in. Still to come, Oliver Hannon-Dolby and perhaps Chris Rushworth, but this is looking very much now like a defeat inside 5 sessions for Warwickshire.
It was a fantastic knock by Danny Briggs. That in this match, to have made a 50, you could well say, well, perhaps on this pitch and the way wickets have tumbled, it's as good as 100 on another day. But very good bowling from Porter, and that's the thing with cricket. It just takes one ball to get a wicket.
Yep. No. Craig Miles is on a pair as he waits for Porter and defends his first ball quite solidly. Danny Briggs 51 from 48 balls with 11 fours. A flamboyant little knock, which contrasted with so much that had gone before. The former Hampshire and Sussex all-rounder, but Warwickshire still 45 adrift of making Essex bat again. Craig Miles has got some batting ability, got a first-class century. Warwickshire could do with one from him now, and he's not going to get it because he's bowled him. Miles has been bowled off stump by Porter. A second ball duck in each innings for Craig Miles. Not a match for him to remember. 109 for 8. Remorselessly excellent seam bowling from Essex. Porter has 4 for 36. And the end, Dermot, I think, is near for him.
Yes, Miles is trudging off. He's leaving the ground very slowly. You've waited all that time in the changing room. You've seen a good partnership, and then you've got yourself a duck. And it was it came back in a little bit. Very good bowling again from Porter, he's been as good as Cook in this innings, and that takes his analysis to 4 for 38. But he's probed away, he's asked the questions, and that's the kind of length there that the ball hasn't gone over the top of the stumps. It's hit the top of the off stump, and it was too good for young Miles.
The 8th man out in this match for 0 or 1 for Warwickshire, which tells the tale of their dominance by the Essex seamers.
Yeah, well, you know, you are at your most susceptible as a batsman, you know, when you on your first few balls that you face. If you get a good one, like one of those first few balls, you know, you haven't got your eye in. That's, you know, we talk about getting your eye in, getting used to the conditions, seeing the ball out the bowler's hand. And if you don't quite pick it up and you get a good one, then, you know, you are at your most vulnerable, say, first ball you face. Then you're most vulnerable second ball you face.
Yeah.
Once you face 20, then generally batting goes, you know, you pick the ball up out the bowler's hand a bit earlier, which means you pick up length a bit earlier, line and length.
Well, Jamie Porter will fancy a fiver here. He's got one ball at number 11 or number 10, Ollie Hannon-Dolby. Can you make it count? Hannon-Dolby is forward in defence and proudly keeps that one out. And Cook will get a chance to bag his 4th wicket of the innings. Dermot, it's 10 past.
Yeah,
Thank you ever so much for joining us, Dermot. It's been a real pleasure to hear from you.
It's been lovely coming back to Edgbaston. I'm just wish it would be a slightly different story out there on the field, but that's cricket. And yeah, my thanks to the BBC for giving me the chance to get back into the commentary box. And once again, a pleasure to see you, Brian, after all these years.
Lovely to hear from you, Dermot. Take care. And Mel will rejoin us in a moment for either the last knockings of this Essex victory or the most incredible fight back in the history of county cricket. Which is it going to be, Mel?
Well, what I will say is that I've actually enjoyed watching Danny Briggs and Michael Burgess as well, particularly the way that Danny Briggs plays. It was quite fascinating because it was almost like the whole game equation and everything that had been and gone before had just disappeared. And he was just playing each ball on its merit and putting away the bad ones. He looked calm and unflustered. Unfortunately for Warwickshire, that came to an end. And, the 2 wickets falling quickly. There was a little bit of that sense of it while watching him bat as well. I just thought, oh, this is terrific, but once it's over, you can see it ending very quickly. But Burgess is still out there, and he's been dogged.
And this one goes past his outside edge. We've got a shades of the first half an hour of this morning when we had everybody on the boundary for Snater batting. Now Essex have got 1 slip and 8 boundary fielders to offer Michael Burgess a single and get Ollie Hannon-Dolby on strike. It
feels more threatening though, doesn't it,
yeah,
than what we saw this morning, and just the way that the bowlers have taken it in turns. Cook was just absolutely phenomenal with the new ball, but Porter has been outstanding as well. It is quite a relentless bowling attack that Essex bring with them.
Here comes Cook. And Burgess defends. There's an easy single up to log off, but they choose not to take it. Of course, one gentleman we haven't seen with the ball is Simon Harmer. He's not bad, is he, either? And he hasn't even turned his arm over yet. When's that? It may well be 2 weeks ago, but I wonder when the last time Essex won a game without Harmer bowling a ball.
That's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bet you he'll bowl next week.
Well, what a cracking couple of results. Essex going to go into the game with Surrey on the heavy victory last week, even heavier in terms of time and dominance this week. Burgess does take the single this time. He plays it out to deep mid-wicket, moves to 28, and Hannon-Dolby will have 2 balls to face from Cook. Cook has 3 for 32. Porter has 4 for 36. Shane Snater 1 for 28. He couldn't help sneaking in with a wicket. He's having such a fine game, and an important wicket as well just before lunch, that of Alex Davis, the Warwickshire captain. LBW just Snater for 12.
Well, even he was unlucky in some ways not to get a wicket after some of those balls that were jagging back in.
Cook into Hannon-Dolby well wide of off stump, and Hannon-Dolby leaves.
Just important too, I think, even though they have lost those 2 wickets for Warwickshire, just to keep fighting. There's still a lot of fans here, the Warwickshire faithful, for their last home game of the season, expecting to see something from their side.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, for the Warwickshire fans. A match over in a day and a half, and this is just squeezed off the inside edge from Hannon Dolby. They don't take the single down to fine leg. 110 for 80 it remains. Yes, I think it's going to, the sun is starting to break through. It's going to be quite a nice afternoon. The forecast is okay actually for the rest of this week, and instead of watching their beloved cricket, the Bears fans will have to find other things to do. It's a shame.
Yes, so down in the Tom Dollery lounge, and it was a bit of a subdued atmosphere perhaps down there at lunch, but it certainly has been an improvement on that first session this morning. So
that's setting the bar low, though, isn't it?
It is setting the bar very low. I'm grasping. I feel bad because I was perhaps a bit scathing when I spoke this morning, but sometimes there's just no sugarcoating anything.
I don't think anything you said was unfair, Mel.
I think the players would probably agree with me. Burgess on strike now as Porter is in. Over the wicket, down the track he comes. And he had an almighty swish at that. Completely missed all of it. Ends up in the hands of Pepper. Sign of aggression, but just doesn't connect. The field is spread. They've got Dean Elgar and Simon Harmer still in the slips, but everyone else is out, offering the easy single. Here comes Porter again, and that's just squirted down to deep backward point. Turn down the run, of course.
And Mal, if you can just describe this over, Phil is just going to pop in and replace me.
Ah, okay. You're
okay.
Not that you're replaceable at all, Brian, but I know what you mean. The sun is just trying to burst through a little bit now. In fact, it's just coming out. The floodlights are off. Porter is in. Bowls to Burgess, who has a mighty hoik at that. It's in the air, could be out. It is out. So Burgess's resistance comes to an end. He's been stout out there in the middle, firstly with Briggs, and then he's seen a couple of wickets tumble, but they'd laid the trap for him, invited him to go big with the field spread, and it's well taken at long on. So the 9th wicket to fall, and it really is just a question of when now, Phil Britt.
It is, Mel, I'm afraid. I wasn't sure Chris Rushworth would come out to bat, but he obviously is, although I kind of think if he's got an injury, what is the real point? You know, if you've got a hamstring injury.
Is it calf or hamstring? We don't know.
We think it's a hamstring.
That is the 5th wicket as well for Porter, by the way.
Which he fully deserves. He's bowled beautifully.
He has 110 for 9, 28 in the end made by Burgess. And Porter is halfway through his 12th over. And he's taken 5 for 36. It's been outstanding. They've taken it in turns, the Essex bowlers, but the threat has never been far away.
No. Well, they've comprehensively outplayed Warwickshire in this game, haven't they?
They have in every department. The brief respite provided by Burgess and Briggs was just that brief.
Yeah, and it was just a sort of break in the proceedings, and then once they got the breakthrough, they went down again, like back to normal. Normal service was resumed, I'm afraid, in this match. So the umpire is having a chat with the run.
They've actually brought out a runner for Chris Rushworth, so that's what the discussion is about. So
Rob Yates, I think it is, isn't it, has come out to run.
That is then definitely a sign of just how much of a hampering that injury is to Chris Rushworth. So Rob Yates will be running for him. Rushworth is on strike now as in comes Porter, and he just pushes that out to mid-off. No run there.
It's highly creditable that you sent him out, but if he's got an injury at 110 for 9, still 40 runs behind on, then what is Chris really going to do?
Well, maybe it's just a bit of sign. Maybe this is as much for the fans as anything else. To say,
I think the fans have long ago. I don't think you're going to win them back with this.
In comes Porter again, and he just plays this one out into the covers. No run. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it must be a sign that they don't think the injury will be made any worse by batting, or is it a sign that he's not going to play next week and so he's just coming out for a last one because this is going to be it? I don't know. We'll have to make some inquiries at the end of this, see what we can find out. I'm sure Brian's on the case already. But Rushworth taps his bat, waits. In comes Porter. Oh, nice. Tries to drive at this one. Misses it completely. The ball goes through to the keeper.
Over there. I think he might have just hopped back. When after he delivered that ball, he sort of hopped back towards the umpire to collect his sweater. They're having a chat. Hannon, Dolby and Rushworth. You've got, you can bat for 2 days, boys.
well, Hannon Dolby's done that pretty much before.
Days,
not for 2 days. No. I'm sure it felt like 2 days.
He's stuck around a bit now and then. But
Didn't he? What was the famous one? I'm sure I remember.
There was one when I was down at Somerset where he and Ricky Clark batted for a long time, and he had a broken arm when he did it. He hung around. And,
do you know what? I've got it in my notes. Second match for Warwickshire, batted for 78 minutes with a broken arm against Somerset.
That's the one I was just talking about, Mel.
Yes.
This one's next one. He's from Cook. First ball of his new over. He's outside Hannon Dolby's off stump. He had a little bit of a push at it. Yeah, it was a game where Marcus Truscottick was captaining Somerset. He didn't enforce the follow-on. And in the end, Warwickshire got a draw out of it.
And why have I got Alfonso Thomas in brackets?
Alfonso was...
I wrote that a while ago.
Whether he was playing for Warwickshire at that stage or whether he was playing... Ooh, Hannon Dolby goes for a drive.
Was it in partnership?
It might have been Alfonso. He also had a partnership with Ricky Clark there. It may be Alfonso Thomas, that one, and the Ricky Clark one was the next year, but he hung around the next year for quite a long time. And I think in actual fact with Ricky Clark it wasn't a successful partnership, but with Alfonso Thomas that might be the one where he got the broken arm and they hung around and got a draw out of a game which really Somerset should have won. Cook's in, bowls, and Hannon Dolby sort of plays a sort of forward shot which is neither a forward push or... In the end, it goes past the outside edge and through to the keeper.
That one died a bit as well.
It looked very comfortable for Warwickshire when Burgess and Briggs, after lunch, were smacking the ball round. It was like, well, what's all the trouble about?
It was incredible, the difference, wasn't it?
Yeah. Credit to Briggs. This next one has wrapped Hannon Dolby on the pad, but always going down the leg side. And I think it was just the very nature of the fact it hit the pad rather than they really expected a decision to go their way. 9 wickets
down, let's face it. They're going to shout for everything, won't they?
They want to be on the motorway by 5 o'clock.
It's quite a way to Chelmsford, isn't it? Go down and around and back up again.
Well, I suppose so, yeah. They go down as Cook round the wicket to the left-handed Hannon Dolby, who smoothly moves to it and strikes it away through the onside and down to the boundary for 4 to get a certain... irony in some of those cheers, did you think, from the crowd?
Yeah, it's funny, the different quality of a cheer. You can tell when, if you're walking around the concourse out the back, you can tell when there's a 6, you can tell when it's a 4, you can tell when it's a wicket, and you can tell an ironic cheer as well. And I do think that was one.
Yeah, I think it'll go down as that. It's Cook in again. Bowles. Hannah Dolby is defending that one straight back down the ground. But Cook can't stop it, but it's tidied up by Tom Westley. So, end of another over. Warwickshire 114 for 9. So they've still got some work to do. They're still 40 behind.
What I do love about Oliver Hannah Dolby when he's batting, though, the few times that I have seen him, he always seems very unflustered. Just you know, out there doing this. Not really my job, lads, but I'll do it.
Number 10 or 11, you can be unflustered though. Nobody really expects you to do much, and any runs really are a bit of a bonus, I think, always at 10 and 11.
Well, they're more than a bonus today. If this pair could manage to put on a 40-run partnership, then
bat all day tomorrow. Declaration at lunchtime on Friday.
Well, Porter, he's already got a fifer. Now he's running into Rushworth, who has a swish at that one. It's in the air, and that's going to be taken at mid-off. So that does bring the game to an end. It has been emphatic by Essex. They have outperformed Warwickshire in every facet of the game, and Porter was absolutely brilliant. Finishes with a 6-wicket haul for his efforts today. Warwickshire all out for 114. Rushworth without scoring. Hannah Dolby on 4. And they lose by an innings and 40 runs in the end. It really has been an incredible win and performance by Essex, winning this penultimate round of the championship, this match inside 5 sessions.
Yeah, thankfully from Warwickshire's point of view, that partnership between Danny Briggs and Michael Burgess saved it from being a much bigger defeat, but an innings and 40. And Mel's absolutely right, it's been emphatic victory cans, but it's a very short game, I'm afraid. It's 1 day and barely half. Where do Warwickshire go from here? Now there's some work to be done, both with bat, with ball. They've got more injury problems with their bowlers, and they're going to be scratching around to see what they can find to be able to boost their attack for next week at Trent Bridge, which I think, fortunately for them, the season has come to an end, and they've just got enough points on board. But they certainly will need to improve their performance over this one.
I think there'll be a fair bit of soul searching here at Edgbaston by the Warwickshire side and the coaching staff, because it hasn't been a